PUBG Mobile for free.
B. He thought he was in a good position. I was worried they were just going to run him over.
Oh. 3, 2,
Oh, no.
1.
What?
Wait, hello? There we go. Why would you forget you? But I feel like it, they almost took over the Kuma play here. But
Someone to come alive and also help him out here.
you never know. It looks like it often. No.
Oh, no, no, Okay.
Between 32 teams, and you don't get that top position.
Oh, no. Unlucky, runs into a building. He's just chilling. Euro walking away with a kill. And that's so different. Yes, that would be the good. You'd be like, oh, you're wearing the pink panties? That's perfect. I'll take you.
Look at that bunny outfit. Yeah.
Master just in the middle of it all swimming.
Yeah, and remember, he lost his...
They're not going to risk it. They'll revive him anyway.
Nate's coming in. Ooh, it's Molotov.
Oh, he's burning alive. He's not going to be able to stand up. White Pulse will go in second place. Tixel, damage being done. And Kingsman is just sending for him. He's gone straight into the fight. Ultra, they managed to take him down. Are they going to allow this to happen? Oh my God, Kingsman gets killed as well. That's not what they would have wanted. It's time for us to get back into the action for the PUBG Mobile Club Open 2019. We're covering the European region, and you've got myself, James Banks, and Matthias Larsson to take you through all of the games today. And it is going to be the crunch time for a lot of these teams, right? Last week, they got to find their feet. They got to activate themselves and say, hey, look, we can be some of the most dominant teams in the server. Or in some cases, not so dominant in all honesty. And remember, if you guys haven't seen any of the action that went on last week from any of the regions, there's so many teams. Over 300 teams across 10 regions competing for $2.5 million. You can head down below to clubopen.pubgmobile.com and see all the VODs, all the past results, and all the standings. And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, as I've done the plugs, Larson, and I'm here to see which team is going to be looking to solidify themselves in this top spot. Because this is the scary part, right?
And the reason why you say it's a scary part, for these teams playing today, if they are not in the bottom 8, they're through to the next stage.
Yeah.
And one thing I've been looking at prior to this is we've seen Team 3D Max and Oak we're expecting these teams that have been picked up early to really thrive here and early on. And I've been looking at the standings today. They're obviously missing 4 games to the total standings, but right now 3D Max are at the bottom.
And that's really troublesome as well. And you can see the tournament rules here, just to go through anyone that's just new or seeing this. It's 1 point per kill, but it is very placement heavy. Now, we've seen some aggressive teams who go in for the high kill games on top of placement points, and they're usually the ones doing better, but there has been some sleeping lions, or snakes in many cases.
Sleeping lions? What game are you playing? We only have snakes in PUBG. What do you mean? But yeah, one thing you can do a big mistake here as a team is you look at this scoreboard and you think, hey, kills are barely worth anything.
Yeah.
And then they play too passive because, like you said, you still need to kill other people to survive towards the later stages of the game. And if you want to close out the games and win and get those big, juicy 30 points, then you want to have 4 people alive to do it more consistently.
Now we're going to see Sanhok to start things off with today. Then we're going to get Vikendi. And then, as always, we finish with 2 games of Erangel. You can see the times on your screen of how that will go down. And what's going to be most interesting is, once again, we continue to mix these groups. So most people are used to it, where you see, 16 teams that play against each other, they play their group, and then they mash it up afterwards. In PUBG Mobile, for the Club Open, we are seeing multiple groups put together, and they will never really be confident in saying, this team's always going to do this, because they don't get that consistency with it, right? They have to face against a different set of teams every single day. So today we're looking at Group B and D.
And I just want to point out, I come from the PC scene, right?
Yeah.
And we've been used to having these months or like long qualifiers, and we only ever had 16 teams. So we're at a stage now where there's 32 teams. It's so awesome, and it makes the early game, like, you have to do so much more preparation, and it just makes it way more competitive that we don't see the same 16 teams only fighting each other. And then, the early game, everybody will know what's free and what's not free, and you'll never fight for anything. So I think this is a really awesome way to do it, and probably the most interesting way to play and watch PUBG esports as a whole.
Now, looking at Group B and D, you can see the teams on your screen. Kuma is a team that we pointed out of having some very good games, some very interesting games, but they had a different style and strategy we had a lot of fun with. M19, a team we expected so much from, but really didn't show up to the level we expected. Romania impressed us on many occasions. 99 problems, and certainly getting those kills is never one for these guys. And then OBS, you can see on there, very strong performance from this team, but they still currently sit in 12th place. Now, just to look at the overall standings at the moment, Group C and Group A obviously are a little bit further ahead, and the reason for that is because we only had 3 days of gameplay, and they were the group that ended it. So this is where B and D get their chance to really catch up and say, hey, look, we are showing you that this is a very competitive field. And actually, what we saw last week, right, was we looked at Group C and D as probably the 2 most stacked groups out of all of them.
Definitely. And what I wanted to point out is, as you say, OBS are only 12th overall, but they're actually leading in these 2 groups.
Yeah.
But I mean, there's 4 more games, and we saw how strong OBS was performing against what I don't know. We still felt that the 2 other groups were a little bit stronger in the terms that we had a few teams that were way more consistent, and here it was a lot more like individual play.
Yeah.
And one thing that doesn't get you very far is if you have 4 individual players. I mean, you can see in like any esports or any sports in general, it's all about the team play. Just because you have 1 star player, I mean, he would not be good unless he has people to support him.
That's what it's all about.
So maybe some of these teams have worked a bit together. They're working on the team play rather than just, the one-man army.
Yeah. Now, we've seen a whole thing here, which is very interesting, right? We're now on week 2. That means all these teams, especially the teams that really want to grind it out here, would have had information. They could have gone onto the website, gone and looked at all the VODs and seen, oh, this team plays like this. This team likes to drop here. This team is very heavy and aggressive. This team plays it slower. They can start to get a feel, and that's what I want to really see is kind of which teams have put the extra work in, which team of the in-game leaders that have done their homework and brought their A game to make this happen, right? That's going to be the real fun factor of today.
But they can't do it on Sanhok because they've only been able to watch Erangel, Miramar, and Vikendi. So for the first game, I mean, unless they scrim against each other, they don't have any knowledge as to where anyone is dropping on Sanhok. But you're right, for Vikendi, for Erangel, you should do your homework because, at least to me, it's very important that you can loot and you're not contested. Fighting early on is never fun, especially because if it's not a league system where you fight over X amount of weeks, then you don't really fight for anything, because here, the next game or next day they play, they might not play against the same teams, and then they're not really solidifying that, hey, we land here and we don't want anybody else to come. So I definitely think it's very important to put in the work, like you mentioned.
And this is what it's all about, right? Understanding which teams are going for that higher level of understanding on these other maps. Now, we're on Sanhok here, ready and waiting. You love a bit of boot camp to be seen here, right?
Oh, yeah.
That's your favorite spot to drop. But we've really got to look at how this will pan out, because last time round, when we came to look at it, it was a lot of teams actually not having to rotate too far. So when this first circle pops, it's going to be very interesting to see how it works out. And once again, we go over more towards this western side.
I'm just saying, oh no, because I'm a player, and when I see that we have a circle that is kind of evenly split between 3 major parts of water, you can't really make the decision and say, hey, we just need to go to this spot, and there's a pretty good chance we'll be in the circle, and we don't need to worry about crossing the water. Everyone knows that trying to get across water, the later it gets, the harder it gets, and it's not that fun. So this is a circle where I'm just like, all right, I'm just going to close my eyes and hope for the best.
Sometimes you do get those circles, and that's what happens. Now, Kuma, one team we spoke about, they had some very good performances on Erangel. They're placing themselves in good positions, looking like a strong team overall. They mixed up what they were doing on other maps in terms of giving us a bit of the crazy splits going on. But this time around, when that circle popped, they found themselves quite far away in the bottom southeast corner to try and fight up from. So they're potentially going to have to do a lot of fighting early on here, which isn't really the style they went for previously.
No, they went to literally just hide and not make any noise. I felt like that was Kuma's go-to plan until they actually got to the late game in the last Erangel game. But I mean, it's a good way to play, because as we mentioned, trying to keep all 4 members alive for as long as possible, getting into that late game is how you actually maximize the most efficient way and getting points. And we see here, DM, they were running. It felt like they contested in the loot, but they run away. And I don't think these players has anything to work with, as we see Mantic here getting knocked down.
Yeah, not a good start for them. CRM as well have the compounds to play out of here, which means they can apply this pressure early on. And if DM are smart, they're going to try and get their teammate up and probably back away. I really don't like the point that they're going for this, because yes, you're fighting for a bit of space here, but again, we're fighting so early on. Is it really necessary?
No, but I feel like DM, they just wasn't prepared for this drop. Like, you can see them running around with their fist out. They haven't even had a chance to loot yet, and they're just trying to find anything to pick up. I believe even one of their players didn't even have a gun, and then they're just unfortunate enough to run into another team. But, as I want to point out, when I play PUBG, James, when I'm looting, I don't want any of my teammates near me. I'm like, shoo, this is my loot, go somewhere else. And something we see a lot from a lot of these teams is just, they're like, holding hands while they're looting, and I find that extremely inefficient. Like, the longer you spend on looting, the slower you rotate, all that stuff. So really trying to have a safe start is so much better.
Well, who's not going to have a safe start is OBS. This was a team who was looking so strong for these groups, losing 2 members at least knocked for now, and they're being pressured up just a little bit here. It's a bit of an uphill battle for them and trying to get these revives off, but Row, they're going to come into it. And they've changed their tag around. They're no longer Row squared. The Romanians are here, ready and waiting, and they're going to find themselves the first kill, looking for this second player they did manage to knock down. Rambo's pushing forward here. We've got Tudor in the back lines as well. Misu up front, trying to get up close and personal. And really, they're just looking around, but they don't want to overstretch themselves, right? They don't want to run into the rest of OBS and go into a difficult fight here.
Playing it nice and safe, all 4 together. If one of them gets knocked, they can immediately trade. OBS, they're cutting their loss here. They're like, all right, we just got to get in the zone. And we do see one of your Unique members getting at least knocked here early on. Here, this is boot camp. Look at them.
Your favorite place?
I mean, the loot is just amazing. It's really quick. You're super central on the map, so if you want to go anywhere, you can make that decision nice and early. It's also right next to the water, so if you want to wait there for a circle or 2, you can have nice control. So, great looting, great spot, easy access to cross water. I don't know. There's no downsides for playing boot camp as long as you're alone there.
Yeah, that's it, right? You don't want to contest for that bit of territory straight off the bat. As we see where the positions are of all these teams. Now, the one benefit that Sanhok does have, right, being a smaller map, the rotations aren't as difficult early on here, but it is then contesting for a lot of space to work with, that if you are one of the late rotating teams, that's where you sit there and go, oh, okay, I can't really find a spot here. I am going to have to take some engagements, and then it's decision-making time, true crunch time when it comes down to it.
And one thing that I'm disappointed in, Painan, it's one of my favorite spots besides bootcamp, just because of its position.
Okay.
And we actually didn't see anyone land here this time around, I believe.
They've left it empty. They've left it as a position to still be discovered, but in every single lobby, we're not going to be able to go, oh, yep, they're always going to drop in the ideal locations. And also some teams, they may be, like we said, right, there's going to be matches now where teams decide, okay, do we contest for this spot because this is our home territory, or do we just give it up because it's not worth the early battle?
I think that all really depends on how are you doing on the overall standings, right? Yeah. If you want teams like I mentioned earlier, 3D Max, they need every single point they can get here. Then for them, it would make no sense to contest. But if you're sitting comfortably on top, then you could maybe, you know, sacrifice a game or two to make a point that, hey, this is our spot.
Now an MK14 in there alongside all the level 3 gear to play with. It's a supply drop that Rest are close to, but it doesn't necessarily mean they might challenge for it. Being more out in the open, it's always a risk on how you want to try and take it.
James, how do you use the MK14?
Cool. Very badly, if you're me.
Okay, no, I use it even worse. I'm the guy who loves to put a red dot on, put it full automatic, and then you use it like SMG almost, and you can just destroy people. It's the gun that in the game that kills the enemy the absolute fastest.
Yeah.
So if you can control the recoil with a red dot, it's literally the best gun. I mean, okay, it reloads a bit slow, it only has 20 bullets, but if you're in a 1v1 fight, you can destroy anyone. It's awesome.
You know, I love how honest you are as an ex-pro or current pro in many ways. You're now commentating with me. You're a bit of everything as it comes to it. But I mean, you're just straight away like, okay, we'll put a red dot on it. We'll try and make it work. But actually, that could be viable in certain situations.
Definitely.
Depending on how your team are working around you. And that's the thing, right? What I love about it is a lot of people wrote off, say, the VSS as an example, said, oh, no, it can't be used. But if you've got 3 teammates with suitable weaponry and you want to be the stealthy guy in the background, being able to pick people from afar, VSS is a very viable choice in there.
If you're the guy who just wants to snake, you know, maybe bait your teammates a little bit. Could you imagine, James? You have your 3 guys moving in, and then you just sit in the back with the VSS, tap, tap, tap.
Yeah, exactly.
And then he just tries to take over the kills.
and the thing is, right, it's all about the win for the team, right? So not just getting the kill. So if the team are doing damage, and then you've got this silent sniper in the background doing damage, and the other team can't find him, you're just cleaning up in many options.
Yeah. But the MK14, fantastic gun. But I don't really want to call it meme it up, because obviously when you play a lot, you learn to control the recoil a lot better than, you know, the normal casual player would. But I love to see when people change it up a bit and actually use those tools. Like, instead of just saying, hey, it's a DMR, you put an 8 times on that and then you snipe.
Yeah.
No, no, no. You can use it in many different ways. And that's just the kind of plays I expect to see as we get further into the league.
And to be fair, when it comes down to it, I'm quite a fan of the VSS in many situations, and I think it gets a little bit of a bad rap in comparison. Obviously, there are certain weapons you would definitely trade out for it, but there are many viable options for it tactically and strategically when it comes down to it. Now, Kuma on your screens, sticking together.
I don't know. This is confusing to me. We were loving them because they were really, really trying to do something different than what's actually good. But let's see if they actually manage to pull through and, you know, play together as a team. And for people that don't know the reference, in the first game that we saw from Kuma, they were literally split up 1 by 1 by 1 by 1, and one was at the northwestern corner, one was northeastern, one was at the southwestern and southeastern, and they were trying to do that in the first game. The second game, they did a 2-2 split on the north side and the south side, and then in the third game, we want to say they did a 3-1 split, but I think one just died early.
One died, yeah. And we were like, oh, we predicted the future, we knew what they were going to do, and then all of a sudden it was like, actually they just lost the player.
Yeah, and one thing I forgot to mention, like you said, we called it. So we saw them doing the 1 by 1 by 1, then we said they can 2 by 2, and then James said 3-1 split. And then the last game we actually predicted they were going to sail 4 together.
And this is the thing, right? They've had a 2nd place and a 3rd place with some high kills in there as well, both on Erangel, which came down to very nice positions from this team. So I think if you can see a good couple of games come out here on Sanhok, on Vikendi, and then we go into Erangel, Kuma is certainly a team to kind of look out for, because yes, we had a bit of a laugh and joke about their strategy, but these are the pro players playing. Sometimes they can make these things work, even if it doesn't make sense to us.
Yeah, one thing we could point out is that they did it on Vikendi, right? They might do it again. And I believe that the Iranians got here spots flex.
Wow. Really nice from Tudor. You see that spray go off. Lots of damage being done. Levi trying to get over the bridge here. Looks for a few shots. Tries to go in for the headshot. Misu does have to be careful. Damage come his way. And this is where he'll fall back just a little bit. He doesn't want to go straight in for it. Nades go out, and that's very lucky that Levi decided to move.
Yeah, one team that... wait, what? Okay, one team that we've seen that have not been willing to back down from fights in general has been Flex. They've been so aggressive, and they just keep on fighting. But it seems like they're up to go back a bit here, right? So they maybe changed up the strategy from the first week, because they were the guys that would stay in the blue, and if they saw a team, they would just never let go of them. So interesting to see teams changing it up a little bit here. They're not really backing off. They're just slightly more passive, right? They're not hard on engaging, and we see the circle update. And again, this is so tough. This can either go to the north side or the south side. It probably won't end around boot camp anymore, but even though if the circle goes away from water here, there's so much water in that it can't go fully away from it. So if you're an in-game leader here and you have to make the call whether to go to one side or the other, you just can't tell. There's no way of knowing where it's going to go. They get another knock. They'll just split across here. I mean, Flex are in a better spot in terms of the circle update, so it would be interesting to see if Romania actually tries to cross over here, if they can get another knock. And as Romania's fighting, more teams might come down. They hear the fights. We know they do have to cross over to the more western side, I believe it is, off the map with the new circle update. Flex are almost disengaging. This is not normal, James. What are they doing?
Flex needs to be very careful, because as they start to back away, all the Romanians are doing is applying the pressure. Shots coming off here, and with Levi and Andrew Line put together, one nade well placed over there could cause a bit of a problem for them. And that's exactly what's going to start to barrel out towards them. They need to be ever so cautious here. Nade goes down. It does a nice bit of damage, but won't get the knock on just yet. Levi's found himself dropped down, but so has Rambo on the Romanian side. The sprays are coming out. The firefight is starting to happen. Neither team can take an edge on it yet. The thing is, the longer this takes, the more noise is going to happen, the more teams are going to want to get involved, and that's exactly what is starting to happen across the other sides of the map here.
But OBS are just on to one now. How do they whiff that? They have the upper hand there.
They're gone. OBS first team eliminated straight away. It's Kuma that coming on the cleanup duty, but they are taking a bit of damage from the blue, so they need to be careful that they continue to rotate heavily here. As Romanians have actually found themselves another kill, so a double third party comes in to get involved in this fight here, which makes this very difficult for them, and the Romanians just need to be cautious here. They found 2 kills already, they've got 4 alive, but it's all about playing smart now.
I like what they're doing. They're having people holding and people crossing into the zone. So what you'll see as soon as the one member is in the zone, he'll just hold, and now you can see other 3 running. Hopefully we'll be able to defend the squad. Did he die to the blue?
Oh no, he got killed. Sandro got killed out.
Okay, there we go.
It was just one of his other teammates that took damage. But Flex seem to be starting to win this battle here. They find themselves 2 knocks on a row. Can they get a third miss? He's trying to get up there and provide some cover for his teammates, but more shots coming out towards him. And Cust is delivering all the damage there. Finds himself 2 kills, and that's the whole Romanian squad down. The rest were knocked. Missy was the last soldier alive, and that's going to be the end for them. So the Romanians, taking these battles early on, looked like they had the upper hand, but still couldn't win it out here.
Right, they took, I'm not sure, they were just crossing in the open. I mean, we know how much time they have with the blue to move in, so they could actually have went into the forest and then up the hill, but they opted to just take the fight in the middle of the open, and they also waited way too long, right? They had 2 knocks, but it was about maybe 30 plus seconds later that they actually made the move. So a little bit shaky from Romania. I mean, they had the right idea, but they just executed it. Also didn't like, they said 1 man ahead, they should send at least 2 ahead, so 2 can hold and 2 can cross, but look at the snakes.
Carly waiting it out there. Finds himself a knock onto the OMG players. The nade's going to go out as well. This could be very devastating, but Asterion, they're very close by. It's nades going out against each other. This is not looking good. So much damage. How was he able to stay alive there? Warfarin took so much damage from 1 nade, and now Asterion come alive, and they're looking to put an end to this. This is a true chaotic fight here, but who's going to come out on top? Oh my god, heavily under pressure here. 1 player dead already. Sticks very low as well. They're trying to snake and play it smart, but they've got to be so careful right on the edge of the blue here.
I actually kind of like what OMGG did here, right? They're out ahead. Asterion got a few... There we go with the nade. But that's something you're not very, like... That's not something I see a lot, and you can do it on Sanhok because the circle, I believe, do a lot less damage. As you can see, it's barely doing any damage to them, and I think they should have been more proactive after they got all these knocks. Interesting to see.
Orphan can't find themselves any opportunity to take the fight. His teammate Carly still up, spraying away. Does find the knock onto one, but it's the snake game all around here.
Right.
Carly has to operate. He has to now go forward and find this final kill or revive his teammate. They start to back away just a little bit, but as soon as he starts that revive, he's also going to give away his position. So it depends on who wants to jump in on this and try and finish them off here.
I want OMG to stand up together and move as a unit, right? They can't just lay prone. If they all three stood up at the same time, they could easily trade. But right now, I don't know. I just don't agree with how they're pulling this off. Maybe they're just nervous. This is nerves, James, when you don't make the decision to, like, hey, let's stand up and fight. Do you think it's like a coward thing, a scared thing?
I think sometimes it's just if they think they haven't got a good position in their head, even though they may do because we can see more than they can, then it ends up as like, oh, okay, we made an error. You just saw him there. Carly, he gets picked off, but he wasn't even in the fight with OMG, right? He was starting to back away a little bit, runs into another team who have a high ground on top of him, and that instantly finds them in a rough spot, and they go down.
Really tough rotations here coming in. OMG down to 2. We saw Asarian losing all their members and DM losing all their members, and we're down to just 10 teams already. That is really, really uncommon, but maybe it's because it's Sanhok, and you really just have to fight for your right to live, right?
Exactly that, and it's just not an easy fight to take. M19, a team we spoke so highly of, saying they needed to step it up last week, looking to kind of have a better position this time around. All grouped up in one compound, close together, but they can hear what's going on around them, and they're still taking shots here. Already making top 10. Let's see how they can do throughout the rest of it, as they're firing now onto OMG, who seem to be just wherever they go, stuck in a fight.
OMG, they have nowhere to go. They're stuck between a rock and a hard place. And we see here, as the later this game progresses, more and more teams will be in these compounds. So you can see 2 teams that are actually sharing compounds, and that's very, very normal for these big kind of compounds, because there's no way that you can defend this big of an area with just 4 people. And that's how you see so much sharing in just PUBG in general. And it doesn't make any sense to commit to a fight this early, or commit to a fight, sorry. Just because the longer you're still alive, if they get another circle here, they're good. And that they did. Look at how much water that is still in the circle, James.
Yeah, this is going to be very rough on which side it goes. It's such a small circle already. Now, you would say it's going to go over towards the east, right? 9 times out of 10. But there's always that one circle that pops and you go, big rip.
One thing I've noticed with PUBG in general, right? They can end on bridges, so it could actually end in the middle of the water.
Fight for that bridge space, fight for that control. There's already a fair few teams within this circle saying, okay, how do we move on from here?
Here, it's just like a Mexican standoff, you can call it, because they're both in the zone. I think both the teams are happy with staying alive for as long as possible. If I was playing here, it'd be like, hey, the circle is shrinking, look how much water we're in. We're in, a lot of teams are going to die. We'll probably take this fight a little bit later on, as more teams actually die off.
Flex, once again, they survived that first fight, but M19, they've come on top of it. Thanos looking away with 1 kill and straight in with it, looking for more. M19 looking to do some serious damage here, and they see the advantage they have. This is looking huge. Roji, can he get away with it? Doesn't want to take the shots just yet. Thanos still dealing damage single-handedly onto Flex here, who can't really move from their position. Some of them stuck in the water. Phantom's going to be tagged down quite heavily, and M19 have full control of this rotation.
Yeah, and Flex are just going down to the blue here. This is one thing we've said time and time again. I was over a little bit earlier. These guys they tend to get stuck in the zone fighting rather than trying to get into a good position early on. And this time around, no, it doesn't pan out. You can't just stay in the blue for as long as possible trying to pick off kills from the bridge. You have to think about, you have to make it into the safe zone alive. And it looks like they're just going to go out to the blue. He's like, yeah, there's no way I'm making this. And look at the zone. So many teams have to cross onto this eastern side, James.
CRM are going to be so happy if they can hold on to what they have here. They can put themselves in one of the better positions with only 8 teams remaining. TRD, Coldfire here, firing off some nades, trying to barrel them out towards the players on rest. Is he going to do enough damage? Soulcade, we've seen some good moments from him over the first week. Can he pull anything off huge here? He's taking huge damage and it's not going to work out. CRM able to deal it. Up to his teammates to try and fight back onto this, and they're going to go for the prone and ready because they know this isn't just one team they're fighting. With this circle getting so small, they are open to various assaults.
Yeah, there's so many teams that are just going to have an extremely hard time. We see TRG here, they're moving up behind M19. And all of M19, they're actually just laying down. And from what we can see in the X-ray, they're not looking behind them as of right now. Maybe they're trying to get kills in the water, but...
More shots being fired off. M19 finding themselves pinned down just a little bit here, but they've been able to battle out so far. 6 teams remain and just more teams dropping in front of our eyes every single time they try to make a move. CRM once again utilizing this position in the best way possible. M19 look to be a team that's trying to get closer to it, but can they really deal with this?
It looked like M19 actually fended off everybody coming down from the hills, so they're setting super strong with 4 alive here. The last few teams are trying to swim across the water. I'd be surprised to see CRM not picking up even more.
CRM are going to be looking for a kill-heavy game as everyone starts to come towards them. Even they're having to back away a little bit outside of their compound here.
And we're down to just 3 teams. M19, I believe 3D is 3D max. And...
Grenades going off there. Molotov as well.
yeah.
3D Max looking to flush out some of the M19 players.
Rogi's really far away from the rest of his team. He has to be really, really passive now. He's going to not have a chance of being picked up.
I love the setup from M19 though.
I kind of like it, but I also think they might be too far away from each other. So this is where I would like closer to 2-2 split, so you can potentially trade or get a rest.
Yeah, you have to play it smart, right? I guess that you're completely right in terms of Rogi there is now pinned down alone. There's nothing he can do. Taking some extra damage, and no one's going to be able to back him up, but they might be able to provide the cover fire as he tries to bandage himself up. Little by little there.
M19 is actually the only team that are not in the zone, so they have to make the move here. I'm surprised CRM is letting them just walk in for free right now.
You've given them so much space.
I understand 3D Max by the water, they're just 2 players, but CRM here, I know they're 3 alive. They need to be way more aggressive because M19 is just taking all the control they need right now.
3D Max are just playing the long game. They know they can allow this battle to go on and it might end up benefiting them. CRM have a decision to make because they're outnumbered here. Oh, and Focus pops out, tries to do some spray damage. Isn't going to work out. Gives away his position, but quickly drops back into the compound. He doesn't want to fight this just yet, but he's got the window to fight from, and he's looking to see if anyone's close. The nade comes through the window. Focus doesn't know where to look, where to turn. Does he take much damage? He thinks he managed to avoid it. A smoke goes down as well, but that's really good start from them. Sorka's going to be the first one knocked down. Can they pick up the kill straight away? CRM playing very close together as a team here.
Yeah, they're all in the same house. M19, they're taking more angles. I kind of like what M19 is going for them, but they need to be aware. 3D Max wants to strike here. They could be very vulnerable. If they have a few more smokes, they might be able to get the rest in here. This is where you wish you had more utility. Yeah. But from personal experience, whenever I play Sanhok, it's so hard to find these nades, these smokes, these molotovs. It does look like he'll get the rest, but the blue's moving, so they'll have to run straight away. And CRM, they have their eyes trained and ready for this. As I say, they actually looks away. That's what I call timing, James.
That smoke is so beneficial here for M19 as well. Lightning completely covered now. 3D haven't decided to pop out. Rogi takes some more damage here. Low on health for now. Thanos just looking around. He knows where 3D Max is. And he's just waiting for them to make a mistake. Shark spots out. He takes a little bit of damage, but is able to fire back. And here we go. 3D Max have come alive. They managed to get a couple of knocks in, but they can't get the kills. This massively benefits CRM, but how do they deal with this? Poker's taking damage from the circle. Sharp's tried to run in. He wants to try and pick his teammate back up. And while this fight goes on, 3D Max might be able to survive a little bit longer. This is great for them.
They're actually... How are nobody getting finished at this point? M19, they did lose the Rogi to 3D Max, but everybody's holding strong. And this is the last circle. The blue will continue to shrink until everyone is die, I believe.
Thanos out in the open, taking so much damage there. Doesn't want to fall back, and he's nearly going to be finished off. He has to be oh so careful as he's crawling away to his teammates.
There we go. Now it's restricting, right? Doom, 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 doom. Who's going to have to make the move first here? I believe CRM, they're good inside their building. It's really hard to see here, but...
Oh, 3D Max going to have to jump out. Lightning's just waiting for him to push. He doesn't want to take this damage, though. That was needless. He did not need to take that damage. He's going to be waiting for him inside the house. And look at this position he's got. He can try with a spray down. So much damage coming in here. He's only able to get the knock on to 1. His teammates need to reply, but CRM have come alive as well. 3D Max Sharp able to get it done. And what a fantastic and close ending that was. CRM just about take it, but that was right to the wire.
Yeah, CRM, they actually managed to stay inside the house. and just wait for the blue to do its work. And that is why the position can be so powerful. One thing I do want to point out, where I'm super excited to see M19, they showed up today.
Yeah.
3D Max, I mean, they get a top 3 finish, but they only have 2 kills. That doesn't scream confidence to me. Go on, James.
We're just moving some things around. The CRM, they're going to be very happy with where their points are going to move them around on these standings for sure. M19, like you said, having a good game. And 3D Max, a team we spoke about so highly over and over again in terms of you've been picked up by an organization. It's time for them to shine and show what they can do in PUBG Mobile. Well, a third place isn't bad when you had 2 alive for the longest time.
Yeah, but I want to see them with more kills as well, right, James? It's not enough to only get the top 3 finish, and they were so passive. I want to see confidence.
Yeah.
If you want to be a pro player, you want to make it all the way, you need to have confidence, and that means you want to take these team fights and not just play for positioning.
And that's it, right? Because CRM there, they had an opportunity to walk away. I think, what, was it 7 or 9 kills at the end there?
Yeah, it was like just below 10, I believe.
Just below 10 kills. And really from their position, they should have had a great opportunity to fire onto so many teams trying to rotate into them. But they played it a little bit passive, which is nothing wrong with it. They took the win. But there was so much opportunity for them to have more kills and really jump up the standings overall in points that they really want.
Yeah, and I just think it like... But Spitz is like the greatest teams from like the okay teams. It's like just knowing exactly when to be aggressive and when you can take like the fights. And one thing that I know you can do a lot is when you're in a compound, you can actually leave it a little bit. I mean, you don't want to be super greedy.
Yeah.
But sometimes taking a little bit more ground to just get a few more kills can help you a lot in the long run.
Now, Romania here, right, they really didn't get off to the start they wanted. They were a team that were looking strong in the opening week here, but they took this fight with Flex and kind of overstayed their welcome a little bit. They got taken down, and it was kind of a rough ride for them. OBS won't be at all pleased. A team that was consistently placing highly and consistently getting kills as well, were like the first or second team out of it.
Yeah, I mean, they lost 2 guys super early, and then as soon as they tried to get into Painan, they just got picked up by Flex, I believe. And that was while Flex was battling another team. So, not the start OBS wanted, but like I said, it's Sanhok, Vikendi. This team might not have that much experience.
True.
And, I mean, at least for OBS' sake, they're doing all right in terms of points.
I really expected Lightning to have a bit more backup at this position because the circle wasn't that close. And I thought, okay, they're going to go straight for the refrag, try and keep Lightning alive, and then push into CRM. Instead, what happened was Lightning sprayed, got 1, then got taken down by the next, and his teammates were like a couple of seconds behind. And when it's just that close,
3D Max actually played that really well in the terms that that one guy in the building, the other guy, he jumped out, so Lightning, he had to like move his aim really far.
Wide swipe.
And while the guy in the building was just holding, shooting down Lightning, so it gave 3D Max the option to actually leave that house.
Yeah,
but I agree with you. M19 should have held a little bit better, but I just wanted to point out that 3D Max, the way he jumped out, had one holding, actually was really smart played by them.
Yeah, and the thing is, they played the whole position smart. They were stuck behind that rock. Teams knew where they were, but then they realized, okay, if these guys want to fight each other, then maybe we can just stick around for the fun and try and do well here. And actually, they netted themselves 3rd place still, but they were able to cause so much of a nuisance to the other teams that it really could have been anyone's game at the end.
Yeah, and what a game it was, James. Vikendi coming up next.
And this is the thing, right? We speak about Sanhok, we speak about Vikendi so much because these are probably the lesser played maps in terms of the competitive side of things, right?
They're also the newest maps.
Yeah, the newest maps as well. So they don't have that experience on it in comparison to your Miramars, to your Erangels. So we see very different styles of play come out. And some teams, they're just so lost when it comes to these maps. But you see them come into Erangel, you're like, oh, okay, you're here to play, you're here to make it work.
And also just the terrain in general in these maps. Like Sanhok, you see nobody using vehicles because it's so hilly, there's cover everywhere. If you drive in a car, I mean, the map is smaller also, but if you drive anywhere, you're just going to get shot down just because the rotations are bad. And the map is not that big, so if you drive, you don't really want to get that far because then you just run into even more teams. And Vikendi, it's kind of like a mix of like Sanhok, Miramar, and Erangel in the terms that cars are really good, so it's like the Erangel side of that.
Yeah.
Compounds are amazing, which is something that I kind of knew, right? Because on Sanhok, you can easily play in the open. On Miramar, there's so many hills and stuff you can play. But I feel like on Vikendi, like the terrain in general, it just, like, you can house so few teams. And that leads to a lot of like breaching, which is cool. Like you can see a lot of people just playing super passive. On Vikendi, you need to learn how to breach and when to breach. And that's really cool. And I like that unique aspect of Vikendi.
Yeah, and we saw some crazy endings. Do you remember the barn ending on Vikendi last week? It was, and he said yesterday, that's how close this thing feels like it's been. But yeah, last week on Vikendi, we saw that crazy ending where there was like 5 teams all around that one barn ending. They were actually almost close to each other, like next door, and this just insane firefight happened. We had no idea which way it was going to go, and actually turned out to be one of the better games of that week.
Yeah, and I don't know. I'm really happy that we get to see all the maps because it's a lot of fun to play and watch in general. Like, when you don't know what to expect as a player, as a viewer, it tends to get a lot more fun. A lot more explosive, right?
Yeah, definitely explosive. And hopefully the next map's going to be explosive. I've got no idea if we can go or not, but I'm going to assume we're going to be going to a break because that's our normal schedule on how we go. So we're going to be coming back very soon with Vikendi, and we'll see you guys ready for Game 2 of Week 2. What the hell? Why was no one...
Play PUBG Mobile for free.
Zombie, Darkest Night, the newest mode in the zombie universe, is here. This time, the rules are different. No more parachuting, as players will be placed at random locations on the map when the match begins, and there is no single winner. Players must work with their teammates to spend one long night in the match and stay alive until the sun comes up. Waves and waves of zombies will spawn during each of the 3 foggy periods at night, and supplies should only be scavenged when the fog fades. The main objective is not to defeat other players, though this doesn't mean they are harmless. Players may need to work with other teams when necessary, but should also watch their backs in case the Fragile Alliance goes south. This will be a unique experience for every player involved. This new mode also comes with a passive skill for every player. Understanding the skills will be the key to staying alive in this long night. Can you ride out the night?
We're trading out the luscious green grass of Sanhok, and we're moving over to the snowy fields of Vikendi. That's our second game that's going to be coming your way very soon, as me and Larson are ready to deliver what should be another interesting game, because at least in this group, they've now understood that, okay, Sanhok's out the way, Vikendi, we have a bit of information to play off. The question is, who's going to be able to come on top this time?
Yeah, and to be honest, Vikendi for me has probably been some of the most fun and exciting games to watch.
Yeah.
Just because of the nature of the game, there is not that much space to play, so people actually are forced to fight a lot earlier than we see in some of the other maps, and I really do enjoy that.
Do you know what we need to make happen, right? Anyone from PUBG watching out there? He has a beautiful shirt on now. We need a shirt for Larson for every single match, which means in between matches you just change shirt really quickly.
Yeah, make that happen.
That would be awesome. I'm so down to see that. But no, all things considered, when we get to Vikendi, we've seen a lot of teams kind of approach it in a different style to what they do in any other map, right? Like you were saying, they focus on sitting within them compounds. They want to play the position. You don't see them gambling as much. And the ones that do gamble often find themselves stuck between a rock and a hard place, or in some teams' cases, under bridges.
Yeah. I don't know. I like bridges, especially like when there's water.
Yeah.
If you can manage to sit by the water with a few vehicles, when you have the blue in your back, it's actually the greatest spot, right? Because you can deny anyone entrance to get on you, like behind you, and then you can take so much space. So the first Vikendi game we saw, it was, I can't remember what team, but they managed to take control over the entire water side, kill the people on the bridge, and then close out the game.
And that's what can go down, right? And we've seen some of these teams actually look at Vikendi and say, all right, we're going to go for craziness. And this was the one where we saw Kuma go for the 1-1-1-1 split.
Yeah.
And that's what I want to see, is because Kuma's a team that we spoke about already. They did okay in terms of placements. They had a third place and a second place, and they got some decent kills on it.
Yeah.
But their Vikendi game was the one where me and you went, huh? Like, are they really playing just to kind of have one player alive and snake it out no matter what? Because they literally divided themselves up around every corner. And yes, it didn't work out for them, but how do they adjust from here? Because I want to see what the changes are.
I want to see if they actually do it again. And
Yeah.
if it could be a strategy that practice. We don't know.
And it might work for them in some games. And we're just sat there going, it doesn't make sense to us.
No.
It wouldn't work in our games. But if they're a team, they've got a figured out kind of route of saying, okay, this time it can work out. We just need to adjust ourselves in this way. Or maybe they change and take that Erangel style they had. And let's be honest, right, their Erangel games were 10 times better. You could see they were more comfortable on it. But I love the fact they were willing to take risks and change things up.
Yeah, and that's what you need to do. When you play Battle Royale games in general, you need to be able to adapt.
Yeah.
So if you do a mistake in one game, you need to be able to sit down and say, hey, James, you can't just sit AFK in the toilet while the rest of the team is out fighting. You need to come fight with us. But no, you need to be able to handle criticism and, talk through over the mistakes and try to learn from them. And I don't know, with anything in life, not only video games, you don't get better if you don't make any mistakes, but you just have to realize what your mistakes are and then work on them.
Learn from your failures is the key thing here. Now, one thing I want to say as we come back on screen. We're still there. We're not in game just yet. One thing I want to say for one thing that we've had organizations throughout multiple different regions and areas reach out to us as the commentators here and say, oh, we're looking to pick up teams. We want to find an organization here. So we're going to be closely watching this. And maybe some of you guys in Twitch chat, I've been in there talking with you guys as well. You want to say, oh, these are teams to look out for. These are teams that we believe should do better. Then let us know, because there is, at the moment, especially in PUBG Mobile and this massive boom, there's a position where we sit here and say, actually, there's a lot of room for teams to get involved and get picked up by prestigious organizations.
Yeah, and I mean, like you mentioned, we would love to cover that story. And I believe we can find you at Banks Esport. And on Twitter, I'm Larson on Twitch. So feel free to reach out to us, get in our DMs. We as a commentator, as a caster, you love to hear stuff from the players. And one thing you don't like as a player is this circle that goes all the way to the south and has tons of water in it. Oh no, James. I mean, we love it. This basically just means that there's going to be 50% less land than usual for all the players playing. And it's hard shifted to one side of the zone. So everybody who's looting anywhere there's not at the southern part of the zone, they're going to have a much harder time than usual when you see a central circle. But I love it. This is one of the times where you can be happy that you're not a player anymore and you're a commentator, because playing this is not fun, but it is a really good time to watch. And we can actually see in the minimap here, when it was open, Kuma, they did decide to split a lot. It's hard to see now, but they were basically kind of center in the zone, but they were split up one by one by one by one.
Yeah.
And it might be a strategy that they have, or maybe it's just early game looting and they'll team up later. Here, OMGG are right next to Flex. Flex, they're not catching a break early on ever, are they, James?
No, Flex literally like to seem to walk into teams. Now, they won their duel against Romanians last time around. They've got one member here, Styx, who's not got the most ideal weapon, but close range could work out for him. He might be able to do some damage, but he needs help from his teammates here. And the question is, do they know he's here? He comes spraying, but he's not going to get it, and he's going to go down instantly there. Oh my god, not walking away with the ideal start for them. And instantly you see this. They go to run away. They don't want to take this fight. They're down a man. Oh, and more damage coming in. He gets nearly knocked down. Has to be so careful there. And this is where it's very scary because Flex, they can smell the blood and they're on the hunt.
Yeah, and this is why we can see Flex. They're experienced in fighting, right? They're all four together. They're ready to punish the guy that's alone. And the rest of them, GG, they get into a vehicle and leaves immediately. But Flex, we know they know how to fight. I would have loved to see Flex with good rotations if they can actually manage to close out another game, because they're really good at fighting. And here we see one of Kuma's lone members getting engaged on. He's trying to run away. He fails to fall out the window. And OMG, the remainders from the last fight pull up to Slumpy's compound, and there's no way he's going to survive this.
Oh, Slumpy's just trying to find himself a little bit of cover. More shots coming out towards him. He will be finished off. So, oh my god, do get a bit of revenge in there. They will be able to get at least one kill, but they've got to be very careful. Flex are hot on their heels, and they've got Kuma right in front of him. If Kuma wants to engage now, Flex are completely pinned down.
OMG is completely pinned down, but the problem with Kuma, as we mentioned, they're split up. They're not even together right now, so they can't even fight. And that was so unfortunate for Kuma. OMGG, they had to flee their landing spot because they lost a member and Flex were hunting them. And then they managed to crash the one compound where there's a solo guy in. And yeah, that is why some teams decide to always land in the city and play together, because it's Battle Royale, PUBG Mobile. I just say Battle Royales in general, they can be extremely random. And if you're looting alone, you're like, hey, nobody was near me at all. OMGG, they get haunted out of this city, and then they just decide to crash here. It's so random, but that's just the danger of looting alone.
You've always got to be cautious of what's going on around you. No place is safe, especially if you don't know it. Now, Rest, a team we've looked at and seen good moments of. I mentioned before Solkay went down in the previous game that actually he's had some good individual performances in there, holding strong for his team, but it's the teamwork that is what wins you game. The teamwork is key across the board here.
Yeah, and we can keep saying it again and again, because I don't know, James, before I was a pro player, teamwork is not something you work on, right? When you play public games yourself, you're like, hey, I want to be the star player, I want to pull on some crazy stuff, and then you do a lot of things that are not necessarily good for team play. I don't know if you can relate to this, but before I, even my early career as a pro player was like, yeah, I'm just going to ditch my teammates because I want to get the highlight.
Yes.
I want to be the star.
See, I can do that in my solo games, but when it comes to doing it on the team side of things, it's not always that great. You can't really be a one-man army in PUBG. You've got to play it tactically. You've got to play it smart, and they're the ones that will come out on top. As OMGG, they continue to find fights. They continue to find battles, and they've just picked up another knock here. I'm not currently looking at them. They'll even find the kill, and this time onto CRM, the previous winners. So despite Vikendi starting off rough for them losing a player, they're able to come back into this and say, actually, we can still give a good fight here. They've taken down Kuma, one player from them, and now one player from CRM. But the problem is, if they keep engaging like this, they're going to use a lot of meds and a lot of utility, and that's where it becomes rough for them. Yeah,
and we saw they barely had any time to loot, so they might not be doing good on armor or just anything really. So they need to find somewhere they can actually, loot up a little bit. I know killing people helps, but
what about those placement points, baby? You gotta make it work. Now, 3D Max. We were so scared for them being one of the few teams with an organization, a very well-known organization as well. They finally get a third place in there. Some points they massively needed. The question is, I now need to see this across the next 3 maps because they were so far behind other teams that they really do have to have great games every single time.
Yeah, and also just, I don't want to interrupt this fight here. Flex, I don't think they're wary of Halo being here. So we'll see if he can manage to make this a good situation for him. I doubt it. We're in the Refinery. This is a huge building, but
I'm scared for him.
Flex are close to each other, but they're not holding hands. I say that, and now they actually are. This is really, really bad for Hero.
He sees one, starts the shots, but can't get the knock. Now there's two players firing at him, and he's going to try and barrel out of the building. He wants to run away and live to fight another day, but the question is, can it happen? And it's exactly a no once again. Flex finding these kills, keeping 4 players alive, and seemingly able to win these out. Like you said earlier, can they get to this late game?
But like, what I'm loving to see from Flex, we have been over this before, but when you clear a building, check every corner. Have your teammates close to you. And as we saw there, I don't know who was leading, but the guy who was at front, he actually waited up for his teammate to go into the next room, and they played that really, really well as a team. If you don't wait up for your teammates when you're the guy in front, then you can go in and you can get flushed immediately. So really, really well played by Flex here, taking their time to clear out the building in a manner that you should do it, and kudos to them.
Now Larson, this circle, I gotta ask you, what is it with Vikendi and the toughest circles we can see? All the way down south there, not much land to fight on, a bit of water mixed in there just for the fun, but the main thing about it all is there is not a lot of room again for these teams to fight within. We start to see actually, okay, normally phase 4, phase 5, you see these big fights go on, but this is where we see fights at phase 3 and 4 because there is just no room to hold all of these teams.
Yeah, basically our phase 1 was like a phase 4 almost in the terms of playable area. Now some of the circle is ranked away from water, but we're gonna see a lot of fighting earlier on. And
lots. I like the confidence. I like the attempts. It's not going to work out, but at least you kept them at bay. We talk about this, right? Hold your ground, stand your position. You see and you hear what's going on. You say, no, this is my land. Back the hell away.
Yeah. One thing I really hate, James, is when there's somebody else in your compound, and especially this early on, you can never justify by taking a fight this early, so you just have to be almost okay with them being there. And then it's just like, if you have a compound to yourself, you can get a bit greedy, you can leave, you can take more control of the area, you can maybe scout other compounds, and just having that team there is like always in the back of your head, and you have to play super, super conservative, which is never fun. I don't know. I like to shoot stuff. Talking of playing conservative.
I love it.
Would you look at that? Kuma.
Kuma is turning into this team that just delivers in many different ways. First of all, the way they kind of split themselves up on multiple maps. Then that they were just following and actually doing well to what we were saying. And now this time you lose a man early on and you say, all right, we'll just take it chill now.
I want to just point out that the first thing that went into my mind, being 3 guys inside of his shack, is probably okay if you're in the center of the zone. These guys, they were literally hugging the safe zone, so they weren't even in a good spot in the zone. They were just in the next zone. So, I mean, I want to praise Kuma, but I disagree. This early on, you want to get as far in as possible, and you don't want to just stay on the edge, at least in my opinion. As you can see, so many other teams are just trying to find a spot they're happy to play with. A lot of these teams are down by the water. I mean, yeah, there's a lot of water in, so I guess it's kind of limited. Unique make their way in. I believe this is at the bottom left part of the zone. So southwest. See STRM. They've just been chilling here for a long time. They move really, really early. Who do you have across this rest? Yeah, a lot of these teams there. But I mean, since we had so many rotations early on because of all the water, it's actually going to be really, really slow for the next while. I don't know. I feel like a lot of the teams have been forced to move into a compound sooner than they would like to. So these next strings are not going to be as dramatic. We'll see what happens, but it's probably going to be slow. Everybody's should have made their way in by now. And nobody want to take this fight early on, as we all know, these guys, they're fighting for their share of $2.5 million. And the only way to make it there is by qualifying through all these rounds that we're going through now. There will be a semifinals next month, I believe, once we're down to just 16 teams. And then 2 of those 16 teams are going to be able to go to the finals, I believe it's in July in Berlin. And that is not a lot of spots for how many teams you have in here. So everybody is just biding their time, trying to get as far as possible. One team that have not had any rest at all today is OBS, as they lose another 2 members in rotation early on. And they've just been left to that. OBS, not the start to the day they would have wanted.
I feel really bad for OBS. Yes, you're obviously not being able to play up to standard, but this is a team that was poised to be up the top of the standings here. So I really need to see what they can do coming onto Erangel, because Vikendi didn't work out for him. Sanhok, same way. We're going to have to see how it goes down throughout the rest of these games. But this is it, right? The team is bringing a different level now when it comes to this second week. They've had time to work on it all.
Yeah, and also because it's been a week since we played, right? A lot can happen. Like, you know, if you're up in a big momentum wave, you're like, hey, we did so good. We maybe don't need to practice as much. Maybe if you're overconfident, you can become cocky, and that's not a good thing. You want to be humble. I don't know. When you're a professional player, be confident but humble.
Yeah.
So always think that you can become better, right? I don't know if this is what happened in their heads, but I've seen it happen many times before in all types of genres, right?
That's the thing, right? When it comes down to being a pro, it really is that time you put in. If you want to say that, hey, look, I'm looking at PUBG Mobile and I want to be a pro as well, I want to be one of the top players in the game, well, you've got to put in that work. So any of these teams that have realistically spent the last week practicing non-stop, kind of skipping what they would normally do and saying, look, we need to dedicate to this, and this is the time. CRM, though, they may have lost a man early on. They're going to cause Asterion here to lose 2 members, and now they're going to find themselves in a bit of a position to fight this off. They've got an angle on it. DM's also in the mix. Not an ideal start for them. Still with 56 alive, 16 teams, so no direct team wipes as of yet.
Yeah, I was just looking at it. Asterion must have been really split and been really greedy to some extent, right? Because usually when you split, my thumb of rule is, okay, if you want to be greedy, you want to take a lot of ground, then you have to be in a spot where you can help your other teammates, right? Let's say another team breaches, then you need to be able to cover their retreat or be able to rotate over there to help them. And here there's just no response. And that's kind of the danger, right? If you just see other teams do it and you don't know how they're executing it, you see maybe less prepared team get punished. And Asterion, they've been kind of at the bottom of our leaderboards thus far. So, you know, you can't just see something and try to copy it without knowing the full extent of how it's actually working.
Exactly that. This is where it becomes a problem for a lot of the teams.
I mean, the problem right now is that they were forced into the circle this early, so everybody has found their spot. And we'll just have to see how much space. Everybody is actually, this is something we haven't seen at all, James. At the center of the zone, I don't think we've seen this many teams this early on.
Exactly.
Typically at this point of the game, everybody's barely even in the zone. They're like hiding around the edge, and it's straight centers. Kuma is the only team that has to move at all. And they barely have to move, and they have nobody in their way for a long while. I mean, 3D Max are the closest one, but they were like, what, 2,000 meters away almost. So everybody is chilling.
The thing is, if none of you guys who are watching right now looked at the previous week or didn't catch any of the previous week games, we saw so many teams fighting on the very edge of the zone. So what Larson's saying there is so true, is because this many teams in the center doesn't normally happen until we get to like phase 4, phase 5. So this is interesting to see if some of these teams are just going to sit there or if they're going to poke out a little bit and try and take some fights early on. But Kuma, they're probably moving forward slowly thinking, wait a second, where is everyone? What's going on?
Yeah, probably. Kuma, we have seen be very passive. But what do you do when you're just like, hey, we're in the center of the zone? Are you happy with just camping? Are you the guy who's, I mean, obviously these guys, they're playing at home. We're not down to the finals. They're not playing at a LAN environment. Sometimes when I'm in the center of the zone, okay, I want to tell you this, James, I like to tap out a lot, or, you know, maybe browse Twitter or whatever social media you're on. You know, sometimes you're flirting with girls or guys, depending what you're into. And this actually happened a lot throughout my career, because there is a lot of dead space when you're playing in PUBG as a pro player. I mean, if you move early and you get to the zone, there's a bunch of things you can do. And you have to get creative, right?
I don't recommend this.
No, but let's be honest. I mean, a lot of these teams, you can sit FK for a few minutes.
In the position they're in now, definitely. If you're the in-game leader, which I know you were, and I had a teammate doing that, I'd be like, get yourself back in the game right now. We want to win this. At any moment, a team could pull up on us.
I mean, you're ready for that, but I mean, you have to get the time to pass somehow.
Talk about things. Chill out. Have a discussion on what the next rotation could be looking like.
Yeah, but you do that while you can browse Twitter or whatever it is you like to do. I'm terrible.
Guys, I often say follow Larson's advice. In this instance, I'm not agreeing with him.
I was just asking, what would you do to get your time to pass by?
I would sit there okay, as a pro player in PUBG, I'm never tapping out like that. For me to pass my time in my public games, this is where I'm bad because I just don't wait. I'm aggressive. I like to take fights all the time.
So in theory, I didn't tap out because I have 2 computers, so I can just move the. I have 2 mouses on my mouse pad, so I always stay in the game. And I mean, otherwise you can use your phone to chat with. But I mean, obviously these guys are playing on their phone. But what if they have a gamer phone and a regular phone? Then you could, sit with 2 phones.
Larson's gone deep into the matrix of where this is going, and I'm going to pull us out and drag us back into this game.
No. We could actually ask some of the players, right? We asked for players' feedback. Hit me up with those stats. What do you guys do when you're just laying here? We see a lot of these people. I mean, some of them are looking around, but for example, Rogue Deer, I don't think he moved for a long time, James. Oh, he moved.
Rip dream. There you go. They're proving me right at least, Larson. You can't work this advantage in this position for yourself. Maybe some of these teams can. Maybe some of these players can. But it is going to be a lot of this, right? Because it may seem to people like, oh, this is turning into a slow game. It's just the way this hard shift circle came into it. And this is one of the things where we can actually say, okay, look, all the teams are still within it. The space is closing in. We go even further towards the center. There's still, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's 6 teams outside the circle. That's actually not that hard to push into, but now the space starts to be edged away ever so carefully, which means the teams that are now trying to find space, the teams who have gone for the center circle, they've got the advantage. They've got the compounds. They've got the areas to play from.
One thing I've noticed in Vikendi is after Circle 5, that is when it gets really, really spicy. And that is when you'll see all of these teams that have been enjoying themselves thus far, they're going to be in a world of pain. Unique, they've been happily sitting at the southwestern side of the zone, and they finally have to move in. I mean, I wish you knew we can do better, but I didn't even know there was windmills though, James. But they find a nice space for them. They got in. We see the Romanian squad here. They're still outside the circle. It does look like they have vehicles if they opt to use them. They're probably just scouting now, looking ahead. They were kind of close. And that is a fantastic way to do. You don't always have to just blind rotate, hope for the best. If you have the time and you can see ahead of you, it's really good to scout ahead and make sure that wherever you're going is completely free and safe. Look at this team. How many of them do you think are tapped out? None. Okay, fair enough.
I saw all of them move just a little bit.
That's
a complete lie, but I'm going for it anyway. I'm just not joining this tapped out
Team
mode.
Romania makes it in, just on the edge, there by the water. Unique here. Look at those windmills. I like it. This is such a pretty map.
Yeah, this is now where the pressure starts to get applied to certain teams. Kuma slowly making their way in still. And the thing is, the space, they obviously have no idea in this, but they've got so much of this area to work with before they'll see other teams.
Yeah, but soon they're out of like the terrainish area and they're moving closer to more compounds. And as soon you have like one thing that's really, really interesting about Vikendi is often when there's a compound, there's a big open area around it without a lot of cover. Whereas on other maps, when you see a compound, for example on Sanhok, there's usually a bunch of terrain around it. So, for example here, right, you see the compound and it's just a big open field with a few trees, so it's fantastic if you have vehicles. But we saw Kuma, at least when they were in that shack early on, they were opting not to use vehicles, I believe. And that's so hard. If you ever have to cross an area like this, you'll never survive. But something Kuma got for themselves, if you look at the minimap, they have an airdrop. That's something, and the circle is not terrible for them. So they might be able to hold it in a little while longer.
No, M19 going to be right on the edge of it. A lot of teams now having to push their way in. This is starting to benefit Kuma. This is where it gets very interesting for them. They've actually, again, still got a bit of space there now. It's a very open area. And it's like, okay, how on earth do they try and deal with this? How do they find some space to work around in terms of actually a place that they can sit in and say, come to us, take these fights. They might actually, like you were saying earlier, have to come in and take a fight to ensure they can grab some space. Romania, I respect what they're doing. They put one player in the car. The rest of them started to move around a little bit here. And now they're going to go on to the fight. And a few shots coming in, but Unique are going to be able to pick up one onto Lux. They're playing the long-range game here. Romania attacking from both sides. That means this team is completely pinned down between two teams. And a couple of these players are out in the open. They're not going to be able to hold it for too much longer. And they're all still outside the circle.
Yeah, we saw Unique. They were probably gatekeeping very close to the circle. this team in the middle is not doing great, but another team that's not feeling great is Romania, because they have to get past both of them. We see all the crazy rotations here now. Flex, they get crashed by DM, and thus far, it looks pretty even. We see 2 alive from both team right now. Kali here, he's moving in. Will he try to flush off, or are they going for the rest first? Is that a third party from a different team? Because Flex didn't hit him there. Looks like DM is getting the rest up, so they might be back up to 3. Flex, look like they're resting. I don't think they're in the open yet. And this is something we haven't seen a lot. We saw Romania jump into the water.
Yeah.
And there's definitely some third-party action here as we see one more member get down. And Levi coming in strong, knocking down Maniac again.
That's huge. Damage being done to the players that jumped in the water. Real Coffin able to go on a cleanup duty here. Flex handling what's coming out to him very well. Asterion still trying to push forward there. You can see him in the background, but they haven't got much room to work with here.
I want to point one thing out, James, right? Flex here, they're 4 alive. They knocked the people from DM. They should have the knowledge that it's maximum 2 or 3 there. And one of them was knocked. That's when I want to see teams say, hey, this is going to be at most a 4v2. Let's go and clean them up. And
why not?
Exactly.
Flex again holding off another assault, but they don't want to take this circle damage. It is very hard when it gets to this point. When we're at phase 5, phase 6, moving into that, the damage is starting to really tap away at you, and you can't afford to sit there for too long.
We see the last member from DM. He wasn't in this team. He still has 1 or 2 guys over by Flex, as we can see on the screen now. All of them, though, they're not in the zone. And look at now. Flex are not in a good spot to take this fight. If they had advanced while they had the knock, they had the option not to knock, and they were all 4 alive, right? It would have been so easy to deal with DM, but now it's going to be a lot harder. And it looks like Flex is actually disengaging.
I don't mind this decision, but the problem is, where it gets to this point where the circle's that much smaller, they are going to have to engage in some of these fights. They can't just back away the whole time. If they reposition and re-engage in the same fight, then yeah, cool, that makes sense. But they don't know what they're potentially running into here. With 46 players alive and still 14 teams up within it, this isn't going to be an easy way for them to kind of reposition themselves now.
No. But just for me, in my mindset, I would say, hey, like, all right, Flex are a good fighting team, but a great team, they would have known right then and there, this is the time to strike, right?
Yeah.
And instead, now they're left to just trying avoiding them. And one thing that can be really tough when you play competitive PUBG is when you try to avoid and hide from too many teams, you just get pincered. So it is much better if you have the advantage to push that lead. Here we see Nukes. He's hiding. You haven't been seen yet, but what?
Oh my god, Nukes is living the dream. 4 players just ran completely around him, not looking for him, and he's just relaxed on the trigger finger. He's not going in for the kill because he knows the placement points are slowly being able to work into his favor here. If he can stand up and make himself known, that'll see him probably taken down, but if he can just snake a little bit further, he could easily rack himself up a few more points because no one's looking for him.
Yeah, and imagine if these guys stay close to each other and he has a nade. I love the snake plays. As we see here, DM, they're trying to make it back over to maybe his teammate on another spot in the zone. Flex managed to catch out Kali. I did see Flex earlier get a little bit pincered by Unique, but I find now they're all 3 alive. They found a vehicle as well. They might make the way into the zone.
3D Max still within it, still looking to do some damage here. Long range for Sonic. Don't quite connect the shots just yet.
We see the DM guys here, they've been picked up by either Flex, Asa, or Unique. They're all inside the zone. I love sending it. I mean, it might work, it might not, but when you're Flex here, you have to make something for you, right? Either you decide we have to fight 3 teams, or we're going to close our eyes and just send it. Yes, both can work, but sending is cooler when it works.
I'd love to see how many kills Unique have because they've been lighting up the scoreboard once again here. The question is, can they hold strong when they keep engaging all these fights because they need to stick around until the latter stages of this game. We're 25 minutes in and more teams are starting to fall. A lot of action starting to kick off here, and Unique, they've got a good position to fight from, but they're just constantly on the hunt here. They're well aware that there's many teams close by.
Yeah, Unique here, they need to not be caught in the open. As you see, more teams are moving up close and close to them. They're well aware of it though, as they start to engage with STRM here. But do they know about rest? It's so hard when there's this much going on.
And this is the thing, right? Flex still engaging in multiple fights here. Phantom's going to be taken down. Custis trying to provide some cover fire. Can they go in for some of the finish-offs? Cold fire pokes out, but Custis still able to deliver it once again. Flex engaging in the kills. They're up to 10 now, and they're hungry for more. Plenty of opportunities for them. They're going to pop some meds now and work their way in, but look how many teams are now clambering so desperately to push themselves into this circle.
Yeah, and it seemed like Unique to hurt the fight between Flex over there, and they're like, all right, this is our time to make it in. They've just been fighting, and really good call from Unique to take it here. Rest, they're fighting on the edge, holding on to life, but they're down to just one. And they get taken out in 9th spot here.
Rest been jumping around, trying to keep themselves going, wanting to fight into this late game, but they'll go down in 9th place. 8 teams remain, and it's a real cluster of teams now. Kuma still up in it as well. They've just been slowly pushing their way in the entire time. Not seen them engage too much. They lost a player early on, but still kept 3 alive. Thanos, he's going to get himself knocked down. 3D Max, they've come alive once again. They're looking for more damage here. M19 under pressure, and it's not looking good for them. Really well played so far from 3D Max. They find themselves some kills, but how many more can they get here?
This is what we're asking for. We want these teams to show up, show their confidence in fighting. Placement points are good, but you need to make it to that placement point. And the easiest way to doing that is killing everyone.
Unique finding themselves under pressure now as well. It's STRM that have started to battle back against them. They had so much room to work with. They've been picking up kills left, right, and center. But is it going to be enough for them to hold strong? You can just hear all these shots being rattled off consistently. Phantom from Flex once again able to get another knock on the board.
Are they aware of STRM? Because Flex are laying really far prone right now. They could be getting some easy kills if they're a little bit more proactive.
That circle damage is just far too much. STRM cannot handle it. And are they going to have the meds to deal with it? Unique still put themselves in a nice position, but look how far away that circle is. As soon as it starts moving, they need to get a jog on.
How did Unique let STRM get into the zone here? I don't understand. I want to see these teams, you know, right? Get these easy kills. They're running in the blue. They were really, really hurt. And we finally see Nagi taking down the last member. But I want to see this happen as the blue closing in. And not just like laying Snake, waiting for the last moment. And the same with Flex, right? They had the circuit, they had the compound. But they just let teams walk in when they could have maybe gotten a few more kills. And cleared out the area, because now they're dealing with the fact that they have a bunch of teams around them, and when they have to leave this house, it's going to be really, really hard. Whereas if they had been a little bit more aggressive earlier, they might have been able to hold back a lot of teams, and they would now have a lot more space to play from. As we see Flex, they're still racking up the kills. They're well over 10 now.
3D Max Sonic here has to be very careful. Flex going to start to push out now. M19, Lightning, he's just chilling. Still prone, not giving away his position, looking to rack up as many points as possible. And if these other players continue to go down, he's going to edge his way up in the placement points at least.
He has managed to get a top 5. We see Flex here, they finally have to move. They're using smoke grenades, they're using everything, but Unique has such a good setup here. Will they be able to take down the Flex members here?
It's got to be so fast with it. They cannot wait it off. Unique, they know exactly where Flex are pushing from. Spots him out. Kitsune, he wants to go in for it. He knows exactly what's going to happen. And Phantom, he's going to try out heal it as much as possible, but it's not going to work out. And Unique are going to hold strong and now fight their way just inside the circle. 3 teams remain. We've got Kuma, we've got Unique in the 3 versus 3, and we've got the lone 3D Max player of Sonic, hoping he can get the job done, hoping he can battle back against these guys, but he has to strike when they're engaging with each other. There is no way he's going to be able to do this solo.
Definitely not. So one thing I want to see Kuma do a little bit different. They're all just laying prone on top of each other. When they hear all this fighting going on, James, when Unique were fighting, Flex, that's when you want to go up. Like, they could have gotten some easy kills onto Flex, but also as Unique at fighting, right? That is your time to strike. That is the best opportunity they have to maybe get a free knock, a free kill onto an enemy team when they're fighting somebody else. Now they have to fight them head-on. And from what we've seen, Unique, they're already up to 11 kills. They seem a lot more confident. Maybe I'm underrating Kuma in this instance, but I just really like a lot of this confidence, right? And like, there's so much tactic involved in when to fight. And when you hear other teams around you fighting, and you have, like, they're alive, it's a small circle, they should have the knowledge of where people aren't at least. So they should have punished Unique at this point, I believe.
Last, and I gotta say, Vikendi gives us the craziest circles. The position here for Kuma could work out very well. It comes down to what Tampsy can do and if Sonic spots any of them out here. Because Tampsy's got massive high ground to work off. Sonic's going to be found by Kuma. That's another kill lit up for them. And he's heard what's going on, but he can't fight in this blue. He cannot afford to take this damage. He's being tapped away, and that's an easy kill for Unique to find. Unique now looking to deliver it, but the circle's working out very well here for Kuma. It's going to come down to a little bit of a heal off here, and at least for Kuma, they've got a lot of meds to play with here. It's the waiting game. It's who can outlast who. Some of the Unique players going to find themselves knocked down, and Kuma looking to take a big win. One player left alive for Unique. It's Old Boy, and is it going to work out? Kuma takes some extra damage. It's a back and forth here, and just the heal off. Unique going to take the damage. Kuma's going to take the win, and they're going to be loving life. They didn't engage that much. They still walked away with 3 kills, but most importantly, they got the 30 points off that first place.
3 kills from Kuma. I love it. That's how you do it, right? One small thing, though, I thought if I was Kuma in this instance, one heals, the other one jumps down. You can interrupt all of Unique's heals if you send one guy down gunning it, right? But they managed to get the circle on top of the hills. Unique, they might have played it too slow since they couldn't make it up the hill. But Kuma gets her first win, I believe, here. Yeah, they've had a 2nd place, they've had a 3rd place, and now they finally get the win, and they get it done on Vikendi, which I believe is where we first saw them come alive. It was either Vikendi or Miramar. No. Vikendi was terrible. So it was Miramar. Miramar was terrible. Erangel and Erangel was good. It was a double Erangel games. There you go. This is why he's the analyst. This is why he remembers all of that information. So yeah, it was the 2 Erangel games they had good success on, and now they come into Vikendi and have a better game. But they had very difficult rotations to make over and over again, but they didn't have any information on who was in front of them. We could obviously see it and be like, it's easy, just run forward. Yeah. And they just slowly took their time, didn't have to engage in many fights. And yes, there at the end, it was a bit of a heel off, and that's kind of how it worked out for them. But we spoke about it, right? There is a time where you have to learn to strike, and for Unique, they needed to go, if they wanted to try and take that fight on an actual gunfight, because they rocked up with so many kills overall. Yeah. But I mean, it's, I don't want to say brand new, but I feel like a lot of these teams, they're not signed by orgs. This is maybe not a full-time job. And there's so much for this esports to grow. Obviously, I've been here for a long time, so whenever I see I can come with some partners, I hope that some of these teams watch it back and maybe consider some of these things I say. Because obviously, there are some of the best of the best. And maybe they just know more than me and I'm talking something. But hopefully, I just hope I can give a few pointers and maybe see teams capitalize off the things I say. And that's what it is, right? It's any information, any help they can get from other pros like you or like other pros that are watching this and thinking, oh, okay, wait a second, guys, you could try and do this better. And just to clarify what we're saying there, so match 3, all the way back last week, Kuma walked away with 3 kills and 25 points, and that was on Erangel, so you were completely right. And then on match 4, they got a 3rd place for 6 kills and 25 points on Erangel once again. So finally getting the big win here for Kuma, and we may have kind of questioned their decision-making at times in terms of where they put themselves, how they split up, but it is starting to pay off for them. And this time on Vikendi, where they previously 1-1-1-1 split, it worked out regardless because now they stuck together as a team. They've changed up their style, and they do come away with good points. They are a very passive team, though. Yeah. So that's my danger. They just won a game. Kudos to them. But how many spots do we have available to get to the grand finals? Oh, yes. Not a lot of spots. 2 spots in this region. I mean, right now, yeah, they don't need to get top 2. They just need to get top 16 overall in the next 2 weeks. But even then, the way they're playing, I want to see more aggression. So even with that win, right, because of the sheer amount of kills that Team Unique managed to get, 12 kills sees them still take 1st place. 3rd place for Flex, 13 kills for Flex. Brilliant work from them. I want to say it's the best placement we've seen for Flex thus far. Yes, definitely is. 100%. They didn't die to the blue. That's almost something new for them. Without being toxic, they just get caught up in fights and then they never move ahead of the circle. And that's the thing, right? We've seen this many times with Flex. They'll take the engagements. They'll even win some of the engagements, potentially only losing 1 player at worst case. But then it turns around and they say, oh, okay, this was less than ideal. Now, some of your kill leaders here, it is no surprise to see Flex up there with multiple players. We've got Kitsween as well.
He's got 7 up there. Sanhok on 5, and he was the last player left alive for 3D Max. Now, that's 2 games for 3D Max within the top 3. Very well played from them, from a team that we were heavily critical of.
And they need this. They need every single point they can get.
Massively.
I don't know if these 2 games are enough. I think they need to keep it up, at least to, have a fighting chance. But massive for them that they're actually showing up today.
Elite for Thanos, right? He needs to step it up, grab the rest of the Infinity Stones, and try and battle back against the rest of them, because M19 have had good placements.
Would it disappoint you if I don't know who Thanos is? I mean, I've seen some memes with a gauntlet, but I haven't seen the movie where he's actually in.
Are you serious?
I'm dead serious.
Oh, God. Okay, after this, before we go to the break, I'm going to educate Larson on everything Avengers, because I'm not giving anyone spoilers on Twitch chat. I like my job. I'm not ruining the fun for everyone else. But here's the interesting head-to-head, right? You may have taken first and second in terms of placement points, but Team Unique, had they walked away that first place, they would be loving life right now. And that's what it comes down to, the sheer difference in damage. Nearly 1,500 more in favor of Team Unique shows that they're not only dominant in their rotations, but also in their killing power as well.
And I keep saying this, but it is very, very important that you know how to take your fights and when to take them. And I like it. Unique. They did some really good rotations. As we saw towards the late game, Flex, they were fighting in the compound. Unique weren't in the zone. They had people around them. But since they heard that people in the zone were fighting, they took that time to move in the circle, move ahead of them. And then there was just I don't want to say easy game, but they did a lot of things really, really well this game. And it just shows. And they end up with 12 kills and a 2nd place. They would probably have won if they didn't come up to a heal-off. But
yeah,
I would say a little bit more luck than Kuma's side.
And that's what it comes down to, right? It was where both teams were approaching from, because Unique were in so many battles early on. They were constantly able to fight their way out of it and do very well.
Yeah.
But for Kuma, it was this slow, steady drop across the map. They were just like, no one's here. No one's here. No one's here. Oh, look, still no one here. And this is the crazy thing. Look at Team Unique. 10.5 kilometers traveled, 3.7 for Ramon from Kuma, and that just shows the difference. Unique literally battled across most of the map, fighting their way through it all, back and forth, while Kuma, they looted up, they lost a player early on, they sat in a hut for a while, and they waited it out and just played the slow, more passive game.
Yeah, but I believe from Kuma's position, they could have been a lot more aggressive, right?
Yeah.
I'm not saying they should just have sprinted into the middle and got themselves
guys,
killed.
we're here.
But from the spot they were playing, right, they could have peeked up, gotten kills, pushed other teams away from them, and they could maybe even deny Unique from running all the ways that close to them. But it just shows here, Unique, they're aggressive, they're showing up. And, I mean, I'm just being a little bit harsh towards Kuma, but that's just because, when you're a loving parent, you can't always just be kind. You have to say the truth. So you want the best for them.
And this is where you say to them, guys, you may have got the win, but you could have done it in this style. You could have got better points. You could have placed a little bit further up the standings in terms of actual numbers on there. Because we've seen some teams win with 47 points, right? Get that win and then 17 kills. Huge games coming out there. It is possible. You just have to really get that teamwork nailed down and have a little bit of luck in terms of how the circle rotations work as well.
Definitely.
Well, I think that's us done. For the next map, we'll wait for Erangel to come your way. Now, this is where we flip everything on its head. We've seen Sanhok, we've seen Vikendi. We've got 2 more games coming your way this evening, and it is all about Erangel. Is it going to be some different teams lighting up the scoreboards? Are they going to rack their way up on kill points and placement points to outshine the other teams? Only time will tell, and you guys will find out after this break.
PUBG Mobile for free.
The snow has melted and we're going to Erangel for our final 2 games. You've got myself, James Banks, joined by Matthias Larsson, as always, to take you through the entire European journey here for the Club Open 2019 on PUBG Mobile. And one thing we got to say straight away here is it gets very interesting when it gets to Erangel, because we see Sanhok, we see Vikendi, we see teams chop and change it up, mix it up a little bit and try and get themselves into a position where they say, hey, look, I can win a couple of these games. But on Erangel, the game that everyone knows, that's where it gets really good for us, because we see some teams that can either make it all the way or not make it all the way. And if you guys haven't managed to catch all the action just yet, don't forget you can head to clubopen.pubgmobile.com, and you can also subscribe to the YouTube channel where all of the VODs, you can see our faces, you can see some of the other commentators' faces, and you can also catch all of the region's work that's on display.
Yeah, and like you mentioned, at the start of the podcast, we said that we wanted to see 3D Max and some of the other teams show up. One team that have not showed up today, that we, at least I had expectation for, was OPS. They were #1 team leading into today, and thus far they've had 2 terrible games. Losing people on the first rotation. Both games in row they lost 2 early in the rotation. And then they just haven't been able to do anything after that.
I'm wondering what they can deliver on Erangel, because I think that's their time to shine. Previously, they shined on all the maps in week 1, right? But like you said, a big change can happen. Players start to do a little bit more homework, research. They've got games to go off of. They can go, okay, look, we can change this up. Work on their own mistakes or build into taking advantage of the mistakes other teams make. This way, we're going to look at OBS and say, if they can't deliver now on Erangel, then people have either figured them out or they haven't tried hard enough. Because, okay, sometimes you know it. You get games that just don't work out for you. But all the games in one day? No, I'm not letting them have that. I'm not letting them have that at all.
And no team should, like, I mean, of course, you can have a bad game, but usually if you're a good team, you can overcome bad circles, bad rotations. And I mean, on Sanhok, they just got caught off guard, right? They were running, and they let a team sneak up on them, and they got shot in the back. So, I mean, that's not bad luck. They just played it wrong. And in Game 2, we saw them driving. They might have driven too far, but they just got shot out of a vehicle in a rotation. So, dying on rotations is something you can definitely work on.
Now, we saw actually on Erangel, a lot of teams died to rotations, though, right? Last time around, that was the bit that got you. You were saying some teams had just sat there dying out because they didn't believe they could make it. Avangard was one of those teams, though, that tried to fight within it, tried to try and stay alive. Now, you're a person who likes to rotate heavily in towards the center. We saw that happen on Vikendi. Do we expect teams have learnt at this point?
I don't want to be as ballsy as to say, just go heavily into the center, it's good. No, not necessarily that, but like just staying ahead of the blue at the very least. And from Circle 1, I don't think anyone should be near the edge. I think they can try to take a little bit more ground. I'm not telling them to go directly to the center of every zone, but
a little spot there, right there.
At least something we've seen a lot more often than I would like is like teams actually almost dying in the blue or dying in the blue. Before Circle like 4, we've seen that happen. I'm just like, that should not be possible.
Yeah,
people should be able to stay ahead of
watching your face while that happens is a pretty picture, at least for me. They can't see it because they've got the game feed up, but I'm sat looking at Larson, he's thinking, why? Why are you doing this? It's not required. Now, this is a nice plane to have, pretty much split down the middle overall. We may get to see some military teams, but overall, we actually haven't seen many teams consistently say, hey, look, military base is going to be our home.
And that is just the danger of bridge camping, right? It's so hard to cross the bridge. And when we swipe up the lobbies like we do, every day you're playing against 8 new teams, you can't know for sure where teams are going to be dropping. And if one team seems people are military, they might be like, hey, we can just sit here and deny the bridge. And that is very dangerous. And that's why I don't like military. And why some other teams might not be a big fan. I believe we've seen Unique. They've been a big fan of Milta Power, so they're going to go there. Kuma, they have Milta for themselves. M19, they might loot the farm area. The farm area is great, so we'll see if they keep going all the way to Primorsk. In Pachinki, we have CRM, amongst others right now, but people could fly further. CMM, they're really spread. They might just do a split West Coast setup. And Team Romania is actually going to Pachinki, along with TRM, it looks like. You can't quote me on that yet, but we get our circle. It's a very northern, mostly on the western side. There's a bit of water in. It's not as drastic as the other one, but this circle is very, very interesting because a lot of the circles have a lot of compounds. But this is one that I personally think you really have to know your terrain. And there's lots of great terrain to play off. But on that very northwestern side, there's not that many compounds. They're very, very scarce in comparison to a lot of other places. But on the other hand, there's really awesome terrain. And that is why I love Erangel so much. Just because the diversity is very unique to other maps. And we actually see two teams on top of each other in North Georgia. And Tira manages to run over OBS here. Oh no.
Once again though, OBS.
Dying in rotate. Do you call this a rotation, James?
I just call this the bad play, the very unlucky play. It's something that they need to stop allowing to happen, and he's just going to get punched to death. Oh, you hate to see it. No hope for him to be saved. CRM have got the vehicles to play off of, and Yura is just dancing around the rock. What is going on with OBS? Is it just this lobby has turned into a bit where they can't get what they want, and now they can't kind of show everything they had to offer in week 1?
I briefly thought of Castercurse, but there's no way this Castercurse 3 games in a row. These guys are stuck on a rock in the early game.
Oh, they were just going to jump out of the car and beat him up.
He has a pistol.
Oh.
Could you imagine he gets away here?
No! Oh, I was about to say, as if he stole the car and tried to run away. So that's 2 players down and out of it instantly here for OBS. CRM getting the kills on there. And it didn't really cost CRM anything, so you can't fault them.
It cost some time. I mean, James, we talked about this. Do you value your time? Yes. So, okay, they did get 2 kills, but they also lost about a minute of looting in the early game.
True.
So I don't want to call that free at all. The rest of OBS, they're going towards the hospital. There's plenty of loot for 2 guys in there, but then they need to find vehicles. At least the zone is kind of in their favor, as it's pretty heavy towards that northwestern side. No, this is my home. I love Jojopo. I actually used to loot the hospital on my own. I wouldn't share it with any others.
Oh, no. Wow. That's greedy.
Okay, the only reason I took it, I didn't really care about the loot in there, but it's more like to have other people not be closer to South Georgia.
Okay.
So I would just land there alone too. I mean, the loot is okay for one guy, you know, but it was more like to send a message to have not other people come around that area.
It's like, don't fight for this space. Don't take it from me. And that's what OBS are going to have to try and secure now. The question is here for OBS, right, is how far up these placements can they get? Because they need to step things up big time. And we said about Erangel being an opportunity for them to do that. It didn't start off well here again. And now for CRM, we spoke about that looting time. How big do you reckon that's going to affect them?
I mean, at least luckily for them, they're in the zone, right? They don't have to travel across the entire map. But let's say they were all the way in the east here. They would have been pretty rough for them. But they're in the zone here. They have a lot of time to loot, so it's not the end of the world due to just the fact that they're actually in now.
Now, this is the most northern circle we've had on Erangel thus far, off memory. We had one that was close to Zaki, but it started to move more towards Yasnaya and that side of things. So this is a bit of a different play for a lot of these teams that have gone down south. The rotations will have to come into full effect. But it's more importantly how some of these teams deal with these rotations, because that's where we've seen people really lose out. Either too slow rotations like we were talking about earlier, or a rotation where they just roll into another team and they weren't ready for the engagement.
Yeah, here it's OMGG and Romania. They're fighting in North Georgia. And surprisingly enough, it's like the biggest city on the entire Erangel. And they managed to just end up right next to each other and fight each other rather than, you know, split out. But it does look like there's a 3rd team in there, so maybe they're just not having the best time. I would hate to be locked down with that little loot in North Georgia. The sole reason you go there is because you're like, oh, I can get all the loot in the world. I'm loving life. Not when you share it with 3 people.
A real question here, Larson.
Yeah?
What would you do if you're the 2 OBS players now left alive? What's your game plan going into this? What's the best option you can walk away with?
I mean, to me, honestly, when you're down to 2, I think it's more realistic that you're not going to snake all the way.
Yeah.
So you might just say, okay, we have some vehicles, we can rotate on a good time. Then you can send it somewhere kind of early, and then you just have to pray, hope for the best.
I respect this from DM, by the way, just to cut you there. They all jump out their vehicles, they play it together, and they play it smart, but they want to deal some damage onto CRM. They actually find, I think that is...
He's just healing.
PSK. He's been,
yeah, he's healing. He's
been tagged up massively. He's going to drop some smoke down, wants to ensure he doesn't go down. He's going to have to heal himself, jump back in the vehicle. But the problem for him was he took so much damage that it was too risky to move on.
Yeah. And I mean, if DM sets up at this compound, I want to see them have a bridge camp here, but they're just setting up right now. They're deciding to play very, very south in this circle, which is interesting, right? When the circle is all the way up north, it means that usually the side where people have to travel to.
Yeah.
So a lot of people will be coming from the south, means that is going to be more full of other teams. So if you want to avoid teams, you could go all the way to the north, kind of early on here, and then you have a lot more space to rotate. Whereas everything on the southern side is going to be really, really occupied, as we can see here. Also, at the very far south of the circle, what do you call this garage? I have a really weird name for it, and it doesn't make sense. We literally call it Death Box, just because I don't know why, whatever. But it's a garage right next to the containers by Child Georgiapol and CRM. They're rotating in a sense that I don't agree with, James. When you're playing a 4-man team, right, we see these guys are going one by one by one by one, crossing the bridge alone. And okay, so one guy gets to the center of the zone early on, cool. But what about the rest of his teammates, right? So if he got there 2 minutes ago, all these bridges that these guys are trying to cross, they're not going to be free anymore, so they can't make that rotation. And that just sometimes ends up in your team being really, really split apart. And here, a guy just get picked off in the middle of nowhere because they're not rotating together.
8 minutes in, we've seen more action than we saw in the first 20 minutes of Vikendi straight away. This is just what Erangel does. It delivers time and time again. And what you were saying there from CRM, right? They allowed that one player to be rotating a little bit further behind them. He gets picked off, and already they're in a bad spot, and more pressure's being applied to him. Rest starting to really pin him down, and where's the defense going to come from? Long range, CRM is kind of trying to fire back.
The defense is coming from DM, the other team. Yeah.
No way, they save out one of the CRM players. Maybe not too sure they were able to save him there, but that means that Rest's getting a little bit overconfident, pushing out. Actually going to find themselves 2 knocked players. DM have got a shooting range ahead of them here, and they're just picking them apart. So much damage being done. Solke is going to fall, as is the second team member as well. And this is looking really strong for DM to just stand on that bridge and say, hey, boys, come right to me.
Oh, CRM Pocus there. He got to be so happy. He just got saved unintentionally by DM. One thing I want to point out here is look at the water in the center here. The one that goes from all the way from Yasnaya into the great Georgiapol Ocean. I like that name. They should add that.
The Georgiapol
the great Georgiapol Ocean. But either way, we have a big river going through the entire map, and we don't know which side it's going to end on. I mean, obviously there's a little bit more the northern side in, but this early in the zone, you really can't tell. So teams have to decide, all right, do we commit to the north side? Do we commit to the south side? What is going to be the best option here? And most of the time, if you commit to, let's say, the south side here, it's going to be really, really hard to bring the vehicles up north later on. And if the circle goes really far north, it might be tricky for some of those teams to make it all the way up there. Flex, team that loves the blue over and over and over again. And I mean, we saw the plane dropped straight over Millie base, right? Flex is our team that loots the military base. They've had more than plenty of time to move into the zone, but maybe they're just really happy with staying on the edge. Which I disagree with them, right? Because if they get a little bit ahead of the blue, they can just fight everyone, and they're winning most fights that they get into.
And that's it, right? That's the really interesting point. Flex is a team that do win out these fights. They do have the individual ability. It's like they like to make things difficult for themselves. So, like, let's make sure we're also fighting the blue and another team, and potentially another team.
And this here, right? OBS, they're too scared to do anything now. And then they're just going to be like in this awkward state that they don't get anything done. Oh no. Oh no.
You hate to see it. Kuma find themselves pinned down. They've got multiple teams approaching them. Unique pin them down and will finish them off. Despite having a good previous game, they've lost 2 players straight off the bat here. And once again, Kuma find themselves in this spot where they say, okay, we've lost players early on. How do we recover from here? But that was the worst way to do it, literally driving straight on into a rock.
Yeah, but you gotta be like, hey, what is the team doing here? I mean, if you look at the grand scheme of things, like, you probably wouldn't expect anyone to be there, but they do manage to get found by Unique. They were actually spreading out all over that hillside, trying to actually gatekeep and get some extra points, which is interesting to see. Here, Asterion, they're crashing onto a team. Team 12 here. It's 3D Max. 3D Max is defending right now. 3D Max already with a knock and a finish onto Chile, and Asterion is down to 3 members.
3D Max are ready for anything that comes towards them.
Yeah.
Asterion are going to really struggle to push into this. Yeah, they're just going to back away straight away. They've got one member of their team stuck in the house, and he's completely locked down as more shots are being fired. He can hear exactly what's going on, but 3D Max in full control, and they're just driving around like, come on, come at us, we'll take you down. Anyone come our way.
I want to see 3D Max here push the guy in their building with all 4. They should have the knowledge that it's not that many people, so I want to see them, you know, just group up and clean out the rest of Asterion in the compound. At the bottom right, we also see Flex Dev engage. I believe they managed to knock and kill one guy off CRM. They just got the second one, and I believe CRM is down to just 1 member already. Flex, they're so confident in their fights, and they somehow managed to win most of them. Look at that. They breezed this compound. We saw them moving super late, and they've almost just eliminated CRM. We did also see at the scoreboard, I think that's it, right? That's almost CRM out. We did see Asterion get cleaned up by 3D Max. So Asterion is down to just 2 now.
So only Pocus left alive now. CRM.
Where is Pocus? Oh, he was the guy that got stuck under the bridge, right?
Yeah, he was healing up, waiting to see what would happen. His teammate's gone down, and now he's all alone. Flex, once again, full control in the circle. Just on the edge of it, but looking comfortable. It's a place they like to fire from. As DM, they're finding themselves some more to play with here, this time in the form of M19. Again, M19, we speak about when they get to the late game, they play it so well, but it's this early part of the game that really is just hit or miss for them. It's like sometimes yeah, sometimes no.
And look at this. Unique, they're crashing onto Asterion that we just saw lose 2 members prior to this engagement. We don't know if Unique know about them, but they're taking the time, right? They might have seen Astarion's vehicle, and this is a really cool thing that you see all these holes in the roof. You can actually nade through, and he managed to get the nade through the roof. I'm loving this play.
Oh no, Lord Forgo has no idea what's going on. Shots coming out towards him. He does actually manage to get a knock, and he might get the finish off as well. He does! That's absolutely huge that he managed to do that, but it was all for nothing, as they will be the first team eliminated with 50 players left alive. But one thing there, Unique should not have lost that player.
No. You'll see, he has the confidence. He got the nade knock. He pre-fires around the corner. And what I assume happened there is he thought the guy was dead, right? Sometimes you shoot, you know, okay, they die after 5 bullets. And he just stopped shooting, and that actually ended up costing him his life. Big mistake there coming out from the Unique player.
Now the Romanians, once again, pinned down and stuck here. There we go. This is where you get to watch the nades go down. And this is beautiful. You can add this to your own play if you want. Like Larson was saying, throwing these nades up, if you know someone's hunkered down in there, he's going to force them to move out and force them to go down. And that's how we lose our first team of the match here for Erangel.
Yeah, and the funny thing to see there, Flex, they were in the zone. They had a good compound, but they were like, no, we want a better spot. And then they just crashed its next new center of the zone, and it looks like they're winning the fight as they took down a few members from ASA. Here, TD, they haven't had the best success today. They've kind of just been picked apart on the rotations, as we've seen Nightmare. He's bleeding out here next to a blown-up US. But look at Flex. They're showing up. They have a lot of confidence, and I'm loving it.
Yeah, Flex have really come alive today. They've brought their A game. All the teams are struggling to match them, especially in the kills. It's the placements that they need to try and get a hold of. This next circle's about to pop ever so shortly. And, well, we're going just above up in the north. And it means that, at least for Unique, they've got a nice way in if they want to. Kuma as well can play it quite well. It's a lot of this kind of on the western side. It's going to be a big cluster of teams all fighting for survival here. You're going to see potentially some early fights going on.
Yeah, but also on the eastern side, just this circle as a whole is very hard to play. And if you manage to keep your vehicles alive here, they can come in massive for you.
Oh, yeah.
It might be one of the only ways that you can create good cover for your team in those big fields. So hopefully we'll see some of these teams do that. As we can see here already, he's using the US to cover from the top of the hill, using the rug to cover from his east. And he's trying to hold on to life, but he's just got pins in between rest. And we see STRM here. There's no way that he survives for a long time. He's throwing smokes, running around, but I can't see him living for a lot longer.
And this is the problem here, right? It's like, what do? You can throw down some smokes, you can try and stay alive, but you've got a barrage of bullets coming your way, as well as grenades and blowing up the vehicle nearby. He's low on health, and he's just trying to find a little bit of a spot to say, I can hang here, just leave me, I'll snake for a little bit longer.
I mean, I think he stopped here because his vehicle was almost blown up. Oh, this makes you happy. That almost sounds like a VSS.
Yeah, the VSS is in play. It is happening, and some teams will decide to pick it up. The question is, will they get the kills with it? It's Unique again. Always on the scoreboard, always picking up kills. And STRM, they are not going to let this player get out of here alive. There may be smoke down, but they are ready and waiting. The problem for me is, if they waste too many of these grenades, that's going to kind of hinder them later on. You've got 4 players. Just try and spam a few bullets through the smoke, try and push forward, and just play it sensibly. Even if you get maybe 1 player knocked, it's better than just wasting every grenade you have.
I 100% agree with you. Managing utility can be really, really hard to do. But if you manage to keep it like towards those later stages of the game as much as possible, then that might actually be the game changer.
Judo! He does it, he knocks a player with a VSS. Viable weapon, my favorite now, over and over again.
I thought about stopping you when you pointed it out earlier, but I was just like, let it be. OBS, they're trying to rotate again and they get taken out in 15 spots. Oh no, OBS.
It's the worst day for them.
Hopefully they have enough fights to make it through, but they really need to do some homework after this.
How is he still alive?
Smokes? Smokes are great.
This is mental. He's literally just chilling. He's saying, okay, smoke's worked out. I'm probably running out of meds at this stage as well. But for some reason, Storm, they're not pushing forward. They're not wanting to try and take me down. So I'll just hang in here as long as possible. And you never know, I might rack up a few more placement points if other teams start to go down.
Yeah, but we do have to point out it's only circle 4. So using all your smoke grenades right now is not great. And he probably won't survive a lot longer, right? So he's having to use all his utility this early on. You hate to see it, but it's just the way it goes sometimes. 3D Max here, they managed to find Kuma. We originally saw 3D Max in this compound where Rest is in, but they must have moved further east since Kuma went all the way to the eastern side.
They finally kill him. There we go. He goes down.
Who was a Storm or Rest that found him?
Storm found him. Storm found him.
Okay. But look at Rest. They found out one on the Storm. They're just in compounds. They probably won't be pushing here.
Now, Unique, right? We've not seen too much from, at least from what we're seeing on the observer feed, but they've just been racking up kills. They've been on this scoreboard once again.
What is so near? So it's actually going to go up to the
he's still
mountain.
there. They killed someone else then. Oh, God. He's still able to survive.
But shouldn't he be like completely open to Rest, but they're just not looking that way at all?
If he gets a knock or a kill here, then they have played this so bad. I don't care if the pressure's being applied elsewhere. 3D Max, though, they found Unique, and this could be an awesome battle because both teams have been heavy on the fragging today. The question is, who's going to frag out the hardest on this first Erangel game? Molotov going up, some nades also coming up towards Unique, but they've got to be careful because the OMGG player is also behind them, potentially coming into third party. There's so many grenades going down, but Old Boy's being tagged up left, right, and center, and he needs to find some cover. He knocked one of them!
Wait, who knocked who?
The player that Storm were gatekeeping for so long in the smoke, he still managed to knock one.
Fantastic. But here it's so hard for you. Wait, look at the OMGG guy. Does he get spotted?
Oh no. Yasha, what are you doing? There you go. Yasha finds it. No problem at all. The OMGG player goes down. Unique keep 3 alive. They've got 12 kills already.
What?
That's insane.
Who have they killed? I completely missed that.
We haven't seen them. They've just been on the scoreboard non-stop.
Yeah. On the southwestern side of the zone, we see Flex and DM clashing. Was that the player? No. Storm was fighting someone else. They finally see him take him out. We've been talking about him for a while, but he finally got eliminated. And Storm, they're just racking up the kills. They have one of the few compounds left in the zone, and everybody who's exposed to them are just like free kills everywhere.
There's going to be so much space here, and it's open fields. Utility is going to be key. Champion, barreling him out to just in front of him. He's like, okay, how much of a little bit of space can I create here using these smokes? How much cover can I gain myself? I don't want to stand up just yet. I don't want to be picked apart, but it could be happening ever so shortly.
We see Rest here. They crashed pretty much the center of the last zone. They went up the hill. They have the vehicles for cover. I think they're using a few smoke grenades. And they left one guy behind for some reason. This guy here is on Team Rest that we saw there in the zone. And he's sneaking onto Storm, and they might not be aware of this, but I don't think he want to shoot. So what is he going to do with this? As they're having a hard time getting past in Romania, as we see at the split screen. Energy gets find out. reloading. There's not much you can do at this point. But I just wonder, he had 2 teammates on top of the hill and they were driving up. Why did he get left behind?
Storm, if they continue to play this well, they could be the team with the best position coming in, but they've just got to be ever so careful. Rest still up in it with 2 players left.
I'm loving this. You see how they smoked and stand on top of the vehicles? Then you can peek over the smokes and pre-fire. It's a really, really smart play.
Now we're going to get into some of the snaking territory. 7 teams left up in it, 20 players alive. 3D Max still with 4 players. This is scary for 3D Max, who have had a great day so far. If they can get a win here, or potentially just a high kill game, that's going to almost solidify them to really jump up into that top 8 potentially, because they were, what, down in 16th place?
It's like an entirely different team playing today almost.
It's like they looked at first week and went, okay, that was embarrassing. Time for us to step up. We want to represent our organization well. We want to push forward. We want to show the world what we can deliver on the big stage here.
And I'm happy. It looks like they've done a lot of homework. They're playing really, really well. I say that. Cast a curse, 2 of them get knocked by 2 different teams.
They're firing back a little bit, but they've only got Untouched left alive. Can he hang on? Can he deliver back and forth here? It's going to be very difficult for him to work with, as the rest of his teammates are being picked off from afar. And he might just have to opt for the little bit of the waiting game and the lazy game. And that might be exactly what he's going to do. Well, old boy here, spraying down some of the Storm players. He's still snaking it up, though. He's prone and ready, but is it going to be enough?
He sent it straight to the center of the zone, and then he just goes prone. I'm kind of liking this from Unique, right? All right, they can see a lot of the zone. They know people from top of the hill. They want like overpeak to see them, so they just have to worry about the teams below them. And that they do. They're up to 14 kills already. They do have 2 people knocked.
He's so confident. Oh my God. What a play. Runs around the tree. He knows he's hungry for the kill. He knows exactly where to look for him. One shot gets fired up against him. And he's even going to be able to help out his teammates with the use of this smoke. Unique. They are here. They are ready, and they want to claim a win.
Storm, they were looking so good in the compound. They had 4 people alive, and now they're down to just 1 player. There's no way he's going to get the revive here. DM still standing 4 men strong. They're trying to nade towards something, but there's nobody in the vicinity, really.
They're just thinking, okay, there's 6 teams. There must be someone close by. Let's try barrel out the nades. Let's see if we can make them connect. And that supply drop, is that going right on top of Unique?
Definitely. Giving them some more cover and some fat loot.
That's perfect. Oh my God.
3D Max, they also managed to revive a few players, and they're up to at least 3. So they managed to recover, disengage from that situation. And now this is very, very classic, right? We're playing terrain, we're playing in the open, we're playing Erangel. This is where all snaking originally started from. And when there's no compounds in, nobody has the confidence to stand up and overpeak and maybe try to eliminate some of these snakes. Do I agree with it? Do you agree with it? I mean, sure, they're playing it safe, right?
Yeah, this is like, you kind of have to play it safe now, but also eventually you're going to have to make a move. So it comes down to, if you've got a team who's potentially with 3-4 players alive, do you kind of play the sacrifice? Do you let him jump up and then go straight back down as rest? Believe they've found someone, continue to tap in around, but can't make the bullets connect just yet.
It's so hard to see through the grass here.
I can just imagine him with his phone like pressed up against his eyes, like, come on, I can see him, I believe.
Are you the type of gamer that...
Oh, untouched! He's still alive for 3D Max, so they managed to keep 3 players within it. Only Sharp died in the end, and we saw 2 of them knocked, which meant we thought only one was alive, and now they've still come back into it.
Unique, spreading out a little bit too much. Wait, he's pointing at the screen.
17 kills.
From who?
Unique.
Okay, yeah, I was just making sure.
What?
But they're down to how many? We only see 1 on the camera here, right? So they were looking healthy, but they're being very pinched right now. Untouched is moving in alone. He gets found out by Old Boy. Old Boy is doing it. He has 7 kills to his name, and he managed to flush himself to 8 already. Getting 8 kills in a game on a solo player is insane. He literally killed 2 entire squads on his own.
Unique. as a team have looked so strong. Unique in their rotations. Just today alone has looked better than last week. And now they're coming alive. Old Boy is completely solo, yet still believes he can win this. And confidence is key in these situations. 9 alive, 5 teams remain. And Old Boy, he still believes he can hang in there and make it work. And he's getting another kill. He finds himself one on to Hellfire here. And this is just more damage being done. Huge and impressive. Sonic starts to give him some pressure. He's trying to dance around the rock. He comes out into it. Is he going to get this? Oh my God! Sonic, he goes down. Old Boy, somehow, some way, is able to rack up another set of kills. And his team sit at 20.
Yes, 10 kills, right? That's insane. And Old Boy making very good use of this level 3 gear giving to him here. He might not have survived that fight if that airdrop haven't landed on him there, but
his movement was so great around that rock as well. He was just dancing around with them.
Here, DM and Rest. I want to see DM. There's 6 people alive. They have 3 alive. This is where I would say, okay, instead of just laying 3 on top of each other, we want to take control now. Right? You should be able to win these fights. They have a tree. If one of them goes over to the tree, stand up, get some information, they can clear out Rest, and then they're going to be in a 3v1 or 2v1 against Old Boy.
And where on earth does Old Boy go from here? He's just snaking up ever so slowly. He's got a little bit of meds to work with. He's not too bad on that at all. Obviously, the new level 3 gear is also going to help him out here. But shots are just being fired off as they're trying to find each other. All prone within the grass. But like you said, Larson, this is not easy to see.
No, looking at the minimap, it does look like DM has the favor of this zone. So that might be why they're so okay with just lying down. But I do want to see one of them take the tree, because that can actually win you the game. Just having that one tree as the only cover is huge. And DM here, they're just spraying blindly. Old Boy gets found out, so Unique got in 3rd place with, I believe, 20 kills or so?
20 kills plus the points from 3rd place. They are going to be loving life right now. But the question is, can Rest fight back in this? They're heavily outnumbered. One player knocked down straight away. It's not looking good. And a solid win comes in for DM. Very good stuff from them. They hold the position. They get a bunch of kills with it as well. 11 in total. Doesn't compare to the very impressive performance we saw there. 10 points alone from Old Boy. But you got to say, what a crazy Erangel game. Fighting out in the open. It's always hard to kind of get your position solidified in that, especially when it turned into the snake game. But I got to say, Old Boy, from all the games we've seen, direct MVP.
Definitely.
Wow.
Like, it happens so rarely that one player manages to do that much damage. And, well, I got to take a hat off for him.
We were talking about it earlier, right? We literally said that one player cannot make that big of a difference. If there was 8 teams remaining and Old Boy was on his own, and then he's just like, I'll kill you, kill you, kill you. And he's just sat there like, this is easy. 3rd place, no problem. Obviously, it's definitely not easy. You guys know, we know from playing it. But, I mean, he made it look easy, and that was the most impressive thing about that.
And I love it. It's like, you saw him there. He never broke a sweat. He was like, all right, I got this.
Yeah.
All right, I'm being pushed. I have time to get the medkit off, juke around the rock a little bit, and then, you know, take the fight.
And it was just the way he was like mind gaming the other teams, because Sonic was like, okay, I've got to push him, went for it. But when he was pushing into him, Old Boy had all the information to play off of.
I mean, I said this at the end of last game. I could say it again. OBS, it's not their day. I hope they maybe watch some of these games back and see, okay, we need to work on these mistakes. But when you die in Circle 1, right, it's really hard to improve, because then you have to improve on your Circle 1 mistakes, and that's... You should be able to make it further than that consistently. I mean, all right, you can have a 1 game off, but this is 3 game off from them. Here, Unique, really good aid, but then he potatoed a bit. He might have miscalculated how many shots it took to kill an enemy. Asa here, they were on the hillside for this entire game. I believe they managed to get very close to top 5 with a healthy amount of kills, so good on them. Unique finds the last snake from MMG. Here, it's just like, I'm a snake, follow me, I'm a snake. Right.
Over and over again, we saw it come into that kind of snaky game. Storm here, right? They held on to this position for so long. They were looking like they were going to have a really good fight on their hands to get towards the end game, but it wasn't meant to be. And this is it, right? Where Old Boy starts to come alive. You saw it there. He's just a one-man wrecking crew.
Yeah, it's definitely a player we have to watch out for in the future. If you can get 10 kills in a game, that has kind of written star player all over. And I hope we can see some more repeat performances from him.
Yeah.
I would love to have some of these big names here in Europe.
And that's the thing, right? When it comes to what Unique just did there, it's not just only did it as a team in placement points, you can see it here. Oh my God, 39 points, 20 off kills alone there. They nearly toppled the team in the first spot, DM, because they only got 11 kills but 30 placement points. That's nuts. Imagine if we saw a win there from Team Unique. That would have been the highest point game we'd seen thus far for Europe. That's certainly the highest kills we've had.
One thing that just randomly popped up in my head, right? Last game, wasn't it Old Boy who was highlighted as the MVP for Unique with 7 kills as well?
I think so, yeah. I think it might have been.
So we definitely have a star player on our hands here.
I trust your memory definitely better than mine.
I'm like 95% sure when we saw the head-to-head from Kuma and Unique. But either way, yeah. What a great game from both DM and Unique. Rest, they have been very quiet today, I would say. They've usually been ending around like 8 to 10 spots. Finally getting a top 3 from them. Definitely going to release some pressure. DM Storm, I mean, they should definitely have done better with the position that they had.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what they happened, right? We saw they had the yellow house, they had control, but then I think they went too center, but they somehow managed to be sandwiched between Unique and another team. Yeah. And then it just got cleaned out kind of early. I mean, they got top 6 or so, but I feel like if they just had stayed further back and kept more control, they would definitely close out the game. And here we see...
Now, that's wrong in terms of 99 being named there, but it was actually DM that finished in that position. They've got 99 within their name, just to clarify it for you guys at home. But I have not seen over 3,000 damage yet from any of these scores we've seen brought up right over the first week.
Okay, don't ask me that.
I'm testing the last knowledge. He looks at me and he goes,
I'm just going to say, I don't know.
But either way, that is impressive on damage alone. And here we go. We got Aggie being shown up. Sadly not Old Boy, but we got Gnarly as well up from the DM team. And it was a very interesting affair, right, in terms of how this works out. You can see very close in terms of damage and kills, but at least for Unique, Aggie was not the star performer. So it'd be incredible to see what Old Boy would have done in that position.
But one thing we see a lot again, right? In the last game, Team Unique, they also travel around 10k, and they do the same thing here in the distance travel. And it just means that, all right, if the circle hard shifts is one area, you can go all the way around the zone. And usually where the circle hard shifts to, that side of the zone tends to be clear. So let's say the circle goes hard to the left. If you drive outside the circle, make it loop around and come in on the side on the left, sure, you'll travel a bit more. But then that side of the zone tends to have way less teams. And that might be something that Unique is taking advantage of here. And managing to show up big today.
Really big. And it's going to be interesting to see what they can do on the final Erangel game. Imagine if they manage to keep more players alive and still have that individual performance and prowess coming into it.
That's really hard to do, though, right? If you have all your teammates alive, how do you end up getting all the kills?
Well, hopefully they still get as many kills, but just split evenly. That's the goal, right? That's the goal. That's the way you get it done.
Could you imagine getting 10 kills and having all 4 of your teammates live to the end?
That's the dream. That's if you can't win, you're doing something massively wrong. You've literally just sent it to the wrong building or blown yourself up or something crazy like that. But what a game of Erangel we just saw there between these two groups. And this is where you see a big change, right? Because yes, Unique have had good games, but I mean, you could just see a whole nother level of confidence that come into that. But we got one more Erangel game coming up, Larson. It is time for us to go to a break as always, guys, but don't go anywhere. Grab your drinks, grab your snacks, come back and join the stream because it's going to be hot and heavy going into our final game of today.
Play PUBG Mobile for free.
Zombie, Darkest Night, the newest mode in the zombie universe, is here. This time, the rules are different. No more parachuting, as players will be placed at random locations on the map when the match begins, and there is no single winner. Players must work with their teammates to spend one long night in the match and stay alive until the sun comes up. Waves and waves of zombies will spawn during each of the 3 foggy periods at night, and supplies should only be scavenged when the fog fades. The main objective is not to defeat other players, though this doesn't mean they are harmless. Players may need to work with other teams when necessary, but should also watch their backs in case the Fragile Alliance goes south. This will be a unique experience for every player involved. This new mode also comes with a passive skill for every player. Understanding these skills will be the key to staying alive in this long night. Can you ride out the night?
It's our final game of today, and we've got a bit of day one in my face. Hi, I'm still here. Hey. Overall, one more we've got, and it's going to be Erangel once again. And me and Larson are here to bring you all the action. The main thing that we saw there was, okay, unique, old boy, impressive, kills galore, 20 kills in total for the team. He had 10 kills on his own individual ability, but still not enough to win the game. And this is where it's the balance, right, between what you can do in game and what you can do as a team and as a unit on your rotations and stuff like that.
But being able to get to the top 3 consistently and with a lot of kills, game after game after game, I mean, you don't need to win, all right. Sure, it would be nicer if you win games.
Yeah, it's always nice if you win. It's kind of the goal.
But managing to get to that top 3 position whilst fighting, and you know, they're still racking up over 30 points per game, so it's not the same as they just get a win, right? They always get more than the 30 points, so they are quote-unquote winning. Sorry. But I like what they're doing. And I mean, getting that many kills, you'll probably never be able to win. Yeah. With 4 people alive, I mean, all right. If he manages to go absolutely insane there and clutch it out with, 15 kills? Sure, but even then, it's a really good performance.
And the one thing you got to look at, right, is, okay, we saw DM take the win, but there was also Storm in there. And the problem Storm had was one of the best positions. Multiple teams coming at them, and they held them off as a unit. And then it all just fell apart for him. You shouldn't be losing when you have the compound. You have a good position to fight from. You should be able to hold on. But I think they spent far too long fighting that guy from Team Hey Pro. Just chilling, just allowed the... He's like threw down 4 or 5 smokes. He just hid in his spot for so long. And then he ended up causing them a bit of a problem because there was so much focus towards him. Other teams came in and they weren't just kind of aware of what was going on around them. And you have to be aware.
I would have loved to seen how they rotated because... Right, they were on the edge by the yellow house. Yeah. And when they got eliminated, they were stuck between Unique on one side and 3D Max on the other side. So from being on the edge, they managed to dive between 2 other teams and then just get caught in the middle. So I wonder how they managed to mess that up in some sense, right?
Yeah, it's one of those things where they definitely have to go back, look at the match and say, okay.
When you're on the edge, you should never try and get yourself sandwiched. Like they should have been able to take maybe Unique's position before them, right? And then hold those kind of rocks. I mean,
because Unique got it by just sending it in, didn't they?
But they did. They literally just drove up the hill, went prone behind a bunch of cars, and then they just shut down on the storm there. Here we see a very eastern plane. If you like looting on the west side, you're going to have a terrible time, as you would have to spend about a minute or 2 just getting to your loot spot. And one thing you see often is if the circle is far to the east, if the plane is far to the east, the circle is also far to the east. It happens very, very often. So you could see teams that normally land in Georgia Pole. I noticed that rest are looting the containers, etc., etc., etc. They might opt not to go there this time around just because it takes so long. But I guess we'll just have to see what happens here. I assume we'll see Unique and Milta Power. We'll see Kuma and Milta. We'll see Flex and Military Base. There was a team in Novo. I forgot their name. What else can we say for sure? Romania, they've been loving Pachinki. I believe they shared it with another team last time around. In Yasnaya, I expect to see a fair few teams. As I can see Romania, they opted to go away from Pachinki. And they're in Yasnaya now with another team, and I believe that is Team Hero. I believe they have a player, and then they called their team Team Hero. You know, I love when my life is easy. And when I see 4 players with no clan tag at all, and they're just called Team Hero, that makes my life very painful.
You have to think before we speak on that little section. It's like that little second delay.
Yeah, it just makes those. I like to think mathematical in the things that things have to make sense. So I look at it to see if there's some kind of pattern or anything, and when it's just 4 different clan tags, I'm like,
I'm confused.
No, it's not confused. It's more like, I hate you. Why do you do this to me and the viewers?
Larson with the harsh criticism on your names. That's it, guys. If you've got a funky clan tag, make sure you get it fixed up. Make sure you're looking good. Now, what we just saw there was we got a western circle off the eastern plane. If you're a team who would normally drop to, say, Georgia Pole or Hospital or over towards the western side, is it now worth it to have taken the idea and you say, okay, we stick to our guns, we stick to our position? Can you afford that time?
Sometimes it is, sometimes it isn't. I mean, the way that people have been looting 4 right next to each other, probably not, but it's definitely viable to travel across the map. I mean, we see a fight here. TRD, they're engaging onto M19. M19, I don't know. I don't think they've been looking as hot as a team. I expected a lot from them. And I believe you said Thanos, he can just one punch destroy everything. He lied.
He hasn't had the opportunity to do so just yet. As I said, he's just trying to collect those Infinity Stones, make them all come together, and then once it does happen, he'll be unleashed on the world and wreak havoc and destruction.
Infinity Stones, are those things that's in his glove?
Yes.
Okay. I mean, I just seen pictures of the glove.
We're going to sit down after the broadcast and go through a whole Avengers moment of explaining how this all goes down so you can enjoy my references as we get on throughout the tournament. But the question is, M19, they have to make it there.
I mean, they're all right. They're obviously not in the bottom 8. They've been doing decently. They've been averaging out, so I would say they're probably not in the lower half. But I come in here. I don't know a lot about PUBG Mobile before this tournament come out. I'll say that honestly. But when I see teams that are not on an AUG and I see teams that are on AUG, I assume the teams that have been picked up this early are obviously going to have previous results, and you'd imagine that they'd be better than most of the teams here.
Yeah. And that's it, right? If you've managed to get yourself an organization, something like M19 have here, you should be able to say, well, there's a reason for that. And your name should put fear in some of the other teams here. And honestly, some teams have just shown us that, okay, you've got a clan tag, you've got an org, but you've not really stepped it up. The difference is 3D Max were a team in week 1 that we were like, what is going on? And now today, they've come alive in every single game.
So let's put it into perspective. I looked at the scoreboard standings on our website, where if you want to know more, PUBG Club Open Mobile, fantastic website. So I went in there, checked the standings, and 3D Max, they had 16 points going into today. So that means they got 16 points in the last 4 games they played.
They doubled that in 1 game.
I think they average over 16 points in all 3 games today. So they've doubled that, you know, every single game they played.
Jeez.
So I don't know. But that's honestly the power you should have when you're playing for an AUG. And you need to be able to like, all right, we did a lot of mistakes. Let's take the time, talk through our mistakes, make sure everybody know what they've done wrong and what they can do better. And I mean, it obviously worked out for them today, right? They showed up as a brand new team. And that's really important, that you can sit back, you can reset, and you can learn from your mistakes.
Now, another team that wants to learn from their mistakes is Romania here. This team yesterday, last week, were looking strong. I just think everything was yesterday. Yeah. My whole days and life is a blur at this point. But
you're just living PUBG Mobile days.
Exactly. That's all I think about. Broadcast days, when we're doing this, when we're talking about this beautiful game. But no, they're a team, Romania, that looked good. They weren't like, massively high placements every time, but they were a team that showed us like they know what they're doing. They're a team that we expected to look very strong going into this week, and they've had a rough ride. They've made flex in the first game. They walked into another fight and didn't survive too long last time around. This game is the one where they need to say, okay, look, we need to kind of ensure that we don't drop off this bottom end of the scoreboard here.
I agree with you. They did show a lot of sign of life previously, but they've just fallen flat, right? They haven't been able to win any real engagements, and I don't think they've been losing tons of people in like driving rotations, but even then, they've just fallen short in all their fights, and that's bad.
Well, a few shots from M19 coming out towards TRD. These guys have been having a bit of a battle over and over again towards this side of the map, but they should be able to escape on the boat. Play a bit of James Bond in the water and say we're going to get out of here alive and we're going to make it look cool while bullets rattle past our ears.
Yeah. Flex. Wait, Unique used to drop here. Why is Flex here now? I remember saying, yeah, Unique, they're definitely going to go here. And James just pointed at the screen and said they're only down to 3 members. So they're obviously missing one. Never great. I don't think he died. He might have not have reconnected. He might have had to go. Who knows? But Flex have had a decent day today, so they'll be all right. Well, they're not a team that is afraid of being eliminated just yet.
And if they can do well here with 3 players left alive, then it proves that there's good hope for them going forward. As we look at 3D Max up in Severny, not far away from where the circle has popped, but they probably want to get themselves across the bridge early on here. And they do always need to be cautious because you never know what might be laying down, waiting for you to come across it. And it could just be Larson, who seems to love a bridge camp.
Yeah, but those, I mean, those are very circumstantial depending on the zone. I like the military base circle, and then they have to, you know, come across the bridge and take a boat. And these small bridges, I mean, you can't really hide on them that well. And it's like there's so many bridges you can choose between, so... When you say bridge camping, I don't mean the little river there. I mean Sosnovka Island all the way. And hey, that's a first. OBS is surviving with 4 people alive for more than 8 minutes. I think that's a new record for them. Maybe it's what OBS needs to do something. And that was a bit harsh, but they're finding themselves in an okay spot in the zone. Basically, the zone is centered to the west, but below the Yasnaya River, basically. Yeah. So right now they're doing great, but it looked like they only had 1 buggy to work with. And that's not great.
That's when it becomes a lot harder.
Just having 1 guy in buggy feels bad, but having 2 guys in a buggy is like, okay. But it didn't look like they had anything besides that, so... Might not be great for OBS, but we'll see. Flex here, they obviously know that teams are landing in the military island. We saw that M19, they were fighting in Nova against something DR? MTR, TDR I think it was. And it's actually interesting that they're deciding to camp the eastern bridge. I would expect people or teams here to take the western bridge because the zone is so west. Yeah. And when you look at that shift, this might actually become a military base circle. When we saw the first one, the circle was almost all the way up at Severny, but it's hard shifted twice to the south now, and it could actually end up being a military game circle here.
This would be crazy for it to see to go down like this. The military circle on the final Erangel game of day 1, week 2 would be very interesting. We'll have to wait and see how it pans out. While Romania are going to find themselves in a bit of a back and forth firefight here, trying to do a bit of spray and pray against the Hey Pro team. Smoke's going down.
Hebro official from Team Hebro, he just got knocked. What is Team Hebro going to do? Can they rest up Hebro official again? Team Romania, it seems they've rested their player. They're moving in on Team Hebro here. He doesn't get the rest, and Hebro official almost gets taken down in the smoke.
Nice molly is just going to fall short of connecting with him. So many shots back and forward, and Team Romania might actually come out and look strong here. But Misu, he finds himself knocked down instantly. Hopper's able to reply.
Oh no. 3D Max gets caught on his own here.
The wrong time to jump. Sonic gets taken down there.
And you wonder, right? Look at the zone. We know it pops super far to the south. How do 2 teams find themselves fighting all the way up north here? Rest, they land and loot here. We're 11 minutes almost into the game. Why are you up here? You have no reason to be here still, in my opinion. And I would say there's not ever going to be a real winner of this fight. Both these teams are losing right now. You don't want to be in the blue in Circle 2, super far away from the zone. Big mistakes being made. As we see 3D Max hitting some nice shots here.
Sharp. He was ready for it. Here's them jumping the vehicle, spots them out, manages to get the knock, forces them to spend more time here taking damage. Going to force them to have to med themselves up as well. And he's going to keep this fight going for this little bit longer. But the question is, does 3D Max decide to fight back into this? Do they want to try and engage and say, we're going to win this battle and then go away from it? Because at the moment, Rest are firing away and more shots come in. Untouched finds one, but Solk's able to reply. He's able to provide some cover fire, and 3D Max, they're not over and done with yet, but Rest, they're going to have to give up their teammate.
Yeah, and you'd imagine, right? The plane was super far east. They had to travel all the way to the west. Rest here, they should have a ton of vehicles to work with, unless they've not to pick up anything, which sounds really, really silly, right? So I wonder how they ever get caught out in that position. M19.
Sorry, just going back to what you were saying on Rest, this is where your critical position there, where you're saying like, oh, okay, they should have done this, is so true. Both these teams spent a lot of time waiting. They can see how the circle's going. Now, we don't expect them to always fight outside of the circle, but this fight achieved nothing for either of them.
Mm-hmm. And I'm just like, all right, Rest, they land in the containers. When the circle is almost down at the military island and they're in the blue, what are you still doing up there? That's a huge mistake, one you cannot make. if you want a chance to get to the finals here. Kuma doing Kuma things. They never want to shoot, James. I almost want to believe that they're pacifist.
And it went as far away from Kuma as it could possibly go as you're talking about them, Larson.
But what if they get a boat and they go into the water and they like jump out of the boat and hide behind the boat in the water? Do you like that kind of play, James?
I'm not saying it's the most entertaining, but
No,
for some
but I mean,
reason,
for some piece, they don't like to shoot, right?
Yeah,
if
it
they're in
would
the water,
work.
they can't shoot.
I honestly think if Kuma did that, it would work out for them. They'd end up with some crazy good position.
Because we did see the circle shift. It went to the northern side of the military zone.
Yeah.
But the majority of the zone is water now. And everything south of the main island is dead space. And there was a lot of it. I want to say above 50% of the zone right now is literally unplayable. Unplayable in the sense that, sure, there's water, you can play the water, but it will be eliminated from the zone guaranteed, right? So Ferry Pier, the hill just north of it, and like the beach side here is going to have so many teams as we see Flex, OMGG, Ace, and Asterion now also approaching closer and closer to Ferry Pier. And here, I want to ask you this question, James.
Yeah.
How greedy should the teams be here? Do they want to fight now, or should they be alright? We have the zone. We know it's going to come towards us. Should we wait, or should we like try and knock out some of the other teams here now?
Well, we already know this from Flex. And even when they're down one man, they're still looking to fight. So they are confident as always. A beautiful double nade. What a play. Custard, his teammate, throw out nades at the same time. They instantly get the knock, and now they can force this fight. Tactical defense is needed to be had here from OMGG, but the question is, can they do it? It looks like Flex are going to push this together, and this is very smart play coming in. Oh no, he misjumps, he mismoves, his teammate goes down. Now he's trying to reply. Is he able to hold on? No, he can't. OMGG delivering all the damage and all the kills, and it's looking so strong for them. But Phantom, he believes he can hold on to this. How much can he do from here?
Not enough, sadly. And Flex, they get taken out in 14 or 15 position here. Really, really not worth it for them. We do see Romania. They managed to push onto Asterion. I believe they got a knock on the finish and another knock onto Asterion. But I just want to come back here. If you're Flex, if you're watching this, well, you just saw Romania and Erangel, and they might just get flushed here. But what I wanted to say is, if you bide your time for just a little while longer as Flex, right, they could probably have gotten the top 8 position and gotten out with a lot more points. Whereas it's not as cool, as fancy. You just manage to rack up more points, right? If you don't play super aggressive in Circle 3 while you're in a really, really good spot in the zone. Asterion, they're not in a great spot. They're down to just one member, and he's lying in the open, praying that they don't get spotted here.
Now, OMGG did very well to keep themselves going throughout all of that. And this is the beautiful double nade that came out. Fantastic work to start that fight, and that helped Flex push in. Flex were probably looking confident, thinking, yes, we've won this now, we can do this. But they were down one man, remember? They only had 3 players throughout this entire game. They didn't even spawn with a full squad, which, okay, they went out early, but I love just how tactical and smart that was. The decision-making was good. OMGG just proved too strong.
Yeah, and you gotta say, all right, Flex. You have 3 members, but you're still having the confidence. It's fun, it's cool to see, but look at that zone. All right, the reason why this zone is really, really difficult is because pretty much all of the beach side, you cannot have any teams there. Because if there's anybody near the bridge or the lighthouse, they can see the entire beach side. So that's that space. There's a few buildings inside Ferry Pier that are still in, that's fine. On the north side of the road, we have some foresters, good. But a majority of this space here, especially on the southern side of the zone, is almost unplayable. And we still have 47 people alive. Usually, we don't see most teams eliminated until like Circle 6 or Circle 7. But I do expect a fair amount of people to meet a lot of resistance. And having a kind of hard time getting into this next zone here.
OBS, though, still in it?
Yeah.
Good game for them so far. They've got themselves a little bit of a setup here to square onto CRM, who at least this time are rotating in their vehicles as a squad. Very different to what happened last time where they got picked apart, but it doesn't matter either way, as Team Romania are there ready and waiting. DM's also firing onto OBS at the same time. So this whole cluster of teams down here are under heavy fire, and Romania, they're being pressured. Can they hold on to it? Shots coming in, a little bit of a back and forth trade. Sandro down on the floor, gets finished off by Chris, and Romania hold on to the position with only one player knocked down. Very impressive how they forced their way out into that.
I did like to point out they all drove together. That's how you do it. I don't know if they could have taken a better route so they wouldn't get shot out of the vehicles, but they had the right idea. Just execution was a little bit flawless. Or a little bit flawed, sorry. And Romania coming out ahead. They managed to breach the stereo and take them out, and now they're defending it. And they have the best real estate in the circle. They have a compound there's in the center, and they're loving life.
This little island's not a bad spot to play from, but how much can you get done here? Maybe they pick off some of these M19 players currently trying to swim their way across. If they can be spotted out, could be a bit tough for them. As OBS now start to make their way out, they've got OMGG ahead of them, who do still have the full squad up and alive. So this could be an interesting battle to try and fight off of. As C-Mac's going to try and get himself close range here. He can hear what's going on, ready to try and breach it.
I just want to point out, he's far away from the rest of his team. He doesn't want to try and make a big hero play here, in my opinion. You want to play together as a team, and if he gets knocked here, he can't get any help. If he goes inside the building, he's just running away from his team. I want to see him be a little bit careful here, James.
Yeah, he's got to be cautious. You can see down in the corner, Old Boy, our MVP from the previous game, low on health, taking plenty of damage, and he's going to be instantly tapped away. They had that little island secured. Unique aren't going to get across the water just yet. The rest of his team... Now, this makes no sense. Look at the map. 3 of his teammates now are in the circle. They went over towards the east of Ferry Pier. An Old Boy decides to go all the way around the west, and he's dead and gone already.
Maybe he was like, all right, you guys, you got this. I believe in you, my team. I just want to try and make a hero play, swim up behind people. I don't know. We didn't see what happened.
He was like, I did enough work for you guys in the previous game. I'm taking a chill this time. I want a relaxing swim. Oh, God, I'm dead.
You know, maybe he wanted to make some highlight play where he sneaks up behind people. Who knows? It might just have been unfortunate rotations. Maybe he lost his vehicle and they decided they didn't have time to pick him up. I don't know. But Unique's still in it, and they have a really good spot as well, even though they're missing their MVP of today.
Well, I certainly wouldn't count Unique out. They played it well overall, and they played together as a team in the previous game, regardless of Old Boy's performance individually. With 3 alive, it's certainly not over and done with just yet. But Kuma lost 2 players already, starting to have a little bit of a battle here with Rest. Spraying over from around that rock, but they're going to take some heavy circle damage. And once again, not keeping an eye off what's happening here. And you lose about 25% of your health just from a few ticks there. It's not ideal.
And we see one Kuma member get taken down. 3D Max are locking down Rest. Storm here to take fight shots onto Ace. And that's one Ace member bleeding out. Another one just driving into the water, into the blue. Not looking great for them. Unique here, they're still finding kills. They're finding Ace members. 3D Max still gatekeeping Rest. They're losing Palma though.
This is the fight for the shoreline. This is the fight for the circle that remains, as many players and teams are going to be picked apart. OBS still up on the scoreboard, getting some knocks in there. But the question is, can they hold on to it? They've had some rough games. We said they need to now step it up. Can they do it in the final game of today?
Look at this new zone. Unique, they have all the best area. If they played more aggressive and didn't stay in the buildings, they could kill off so many people playing the beat side. 3D Max, they're not loving life.
No, they're being picked apart from every single angle, every side, and it's Hopper from Team Romania with 13 kills looking to do some serious damage.
That's what I wanted to point out. We called them out at the beginning of this game. We said, all right, they showed a lot of good signs of life here. Asterion gets finished out here, but we did say Romania, they haven't shown up today. This looks like they're back, James.
Can they hold on to it? They're having a bit of a fight with OBS. They find themselves 2 knocks. It's not looking good once again for OBS. They can't afford to go out. The circle is going to be doing severe damage to them now. And only Woy is just sat there ready and waiting, throwing out some grenades. Misu does have to be careful. Pops back just a little bit, manages to avoid a lot of damage. But the rest of Romania are pushing forward, and another kill comes their way. They're up at 16.
Yeah, like you mentioned, Romania here. They've had a terrible first 3 games, and now they're already at 16 kills with still 22 alive. And they got the circle on them now. Romania, they're looking fantastic. And it's not the national team. They're just called Romania, if anybody's watching. We're not playing a Nations League here. They just decided to call their team Romania.
Now, Unique, you said about their position being so key. They're still up on the scoreboard. They're still able to do some damage. As Kuma will be eliminated in 8th place. 7 teams remain, 20 players alive. And Team Romania have 4 players up and running. Unique have 3. Oh my God, have 4 as well. And TRD, they're all stacked on top of each other. I have no idea how many players they have left alive.
I don't know if it's toxic, James, but they're called OMGG. We don't know if they're called Oh My God God.
Very good point. OMGG, though, they're running straight into the Romanians' fire. They are getting tagged up, dropped down, and they need to find themselves a little bit of a hope to fire from here. M19 meeting up with Unique, a back-and-forth battle, and Yasha has to be careful, continuing to poke out, able to get at least 1 knock, but there's still another player waiting in the wings. Gonna hop back, gonna wait for his teammates to come into it. Nagy's taking some damage, though. Kitsuin straight away with the trade-off, and they're fighting 2 separate teams here. This is so hard to fight from 4-team Unique. If they can pull this off, it'll be absolutely amazing, and Kitsuin seems to be able to do it.
OMGG, they managed to get the rest up. We saw they're down to 1. They've recovered a little bit. We see DM here. If they get grenaded here, if somebody managed to throw a nade inside the shack, I know it's hard with the smokes going down, they could all just die being on top of each other here. I'm surprised. It looks like that Molotov is on top of them, but apparently doesn't connect. OMGG, they're snaking here. Could you imagine, James, when they...
OMGG find themselves getting their first player knocked. They're able to reply out 1. How much can they hold on to here? Damage being done. Baltazar spraying through, but he's eating bullets through the smoke. He can't see where he's shooting or who he's shooting at. He's trying to hold on to it. The spray and pray isn't going to work out. They find themselves into an interesting 2-on-2. Styx walks into the hut, walks into his deaths, and leaves Baltazar all alone.
I love it. I'm really happy that you mentioned spray and pray. All I was thinking about when I saw that fight, I was like, spray and pray.
Yep.
There's not much else you can do when you're just hovering around all those smokes. N19 is down to 1 member here. They have 0 kills, but they're getting top 4. Placement points are really, really huge here.
Yeah.
So they definitely need these points, and they're doing it. Romania, Unique, DM. DM won the last game here, showing up really strong on Erangel. Unique obviously got a 3rd place last game. Have Unique even placed outside of the top 5 today?
I'd say definitely not outside the top 6, but Romania here, 18 kills, right? They're the only team with 4 alive. OMGG were their biggest team that could rival them, and they've just gone out with a big bang. DM with 2 left alive, Unique with 2 left alive. This is looking incredibly strong for Team Romania, but their position, they're very out in the open here. They've got a little bit of high ground to play off of, but not much cover other than the smokes that are still around.
They just need to hold the south side here and make sure nobody sneaks up on them, and they're actually fantastic, right? Because when this circle closes, I can't tell if Unique is still in, but it looks like there's barely any cover left once the blue closes in. And then they'll have a few trees and a rock to play around. I'm actually really liking Romania's spot here. Right? You see him, he's going down Chris 7 here, he's taking the rock, denying it from Unique or anyone else. And
so smart.
The only thing he has to play from there, Nagy, is just a smoke grenade.
Oh. Nagy finds it, but straight away DM jump up. They see their chance to strike, and they manage to land those shots. Romania trying to push up. They find Sorka snaking around, and he'll go down. This still gives them a good fight to play off of here, but Chris is bleeding out, and they need to try and get close to him. Yash is able to provide some great cover fire here for the Unique players, while DM, they're just on the hunt. They're looking ready and waiting. A few shots being sprayed away, but he can't make the shots connect. Yash is still able to chime in, and Unique are in such a good position. They could potentially take down Team Romania here, but they have to decide when they want to strike. There's a massive advantage for Team Romania, but 2 players are knocked.
I believe it's a 2v2 right now, right?
Yeah. But the reses are coming in. That puts it into a 3v2. Oh, the shots come in. Brilliant from Kitsuin. Continues to hit the shots long distance. Able to do damage. Snaked and ready. Yasha now on the side of him. Able to help back him up, but the revives are coming in. They know exactly where to look. This tree doesn't provide that much cover. Chris goes down, and now we're into the true 2v2. Tudor's fallen as well, and Unique are looking to deliver and take a big win here. This is looking so strong for them. They were heavily outnumbered, and now they're going to be soon taking circle damage. It's all going to be in favor of Unique, who push up even further closer within this circle.
It's coming in, just not long enough.
Molotov down, instantly Misu came back up, but goes back down. It's all up to Hopper. Can he pull it off? No, he can't. Unique join the fray and fight it out right at the end. And that is an impressive performance for a team that was looking like they could have been done and out of it early on. Old Boy's now sat there. He killed himself early on and said, look, didn't need me anyway, boys.
I'm just having a huge smile on my face because here, our second place, 21 kills. Last game, Unique got third place with 20 kills. And now Unique actually managed to win, but they only, in quotation mark, have 10 kills.
10 kills is still impressive, but after
Definitely.
the games we've seen today, it's like, oh, you didn't get more than that? Come on, boys. Like, why don't you step it up just a little bit?
What has been going on today? Like, I would say very rarely you see teams get 20 kills, let alone 21.
No.
And it's just been every game today, teams are just like, all right, they're just pulling it out of their head, all of a sudden having an amazing game.
I think it was every game apart from Sanhok, right? Like, that was the only game without strong level of, like, high kills.
Do you remember what our first Sanhok game was like? Not today, but the other day? It was like the two teams that got 40 kills and everybody else said nothing.
Yeah, they literally just like wiping out half the server. Nice and easy, no problem at all. These games do happen. This is how it can go down. As our final highlights of today, and our Erangel winners end up being Unique, but it was all about Romania and the shots they were able to pull off from start to finish.
Yeah, here, this fight, I disagree with. We're in the blue, far away from the circle, 11 and a half minutes into the game. Here,
love this.
Flex, I mean, he got a nade, right? I'm just saying at the timing of the game, yeah, might be a little bit risky, but I love the confidence. You get unlocked, you go. That's the best way to reach a building. Other than that, you know, 3D Max had a rough game after they were stuck up north for so long. Romania here, they were loving life. Ever since they reached the glass house down by the road, they were just able to smash almost all the competition. Unique had their number in the end, but they were very close to pulling it off. Here, OMGG, they survived for a little bit. These are some nice shots, though, coming in.
Yeah, that was it where Unique really started to keep teams at bay, make sure that they didn't have the room they wanted, and able to force them out of position. As we said, right, OMGG were looking to be the biggest challenger of Team Romania, and then Unique, out of nowhere, they're just picking teams apart. They had the compound to play from, which did give them a good advantage, but they were able to do so much damage, so many just good plays from that position. But the rest of the teams, when they were fighting amongst each other, Unique were able to just say and go, okay, we found you, found you, found you. No problem.
Romania, they were trying to push down to the rock on the right, but they got help from DM.
Yep.
And that's also like how Romania lost the game, but they had to go down there because if they all stayed on the hill, there was only 1-3. You can't play 4 guys behind 1-3.
And that's kind of how it works, right? There's only so much room, which means you kind of get splatted when it comes down to it. Now, we speak about kills and points working out here, and Romania have done it. They toppled Team Unique in 3 points there, purely based on the kills they were able to get. But you've got to give a big mention to DM, 3rd place overall, a solid chance from them. OMGG, they were in there with 4th place. And M19 finally make their way up. No kills, but all about the placement points, which sees them hold on to it.
And that is something I want to say about M19, right? They're getting the placement points in the top 5-ish or so with a few snakes, but we haven't seen them with like a huge kill performance, a lot of people alive, like trying to close out the games. It's as if rather than saying, all right, we're good at this game, we can just fight other people, right? Their sole plan is like, all right, we just need to snake it, we just need to snake it. And I don't know. I just really disagree with it. And you said, James, hey, we haven't seen 3k damage yet? Well, we get to see it 2 times a day. All right, Unique, that had 3,100 something, and Romania only has 3,016. But that's insane. 2 times in a day, we get to see that.
Joe, we have been blessed with some great performances, some great individual moments just in our opening 2 weeks. And we're only at day 1 of week 2 here. Match 16 of 24. Still 8 more games to come your way.